from the Gulf Coast. Welcome to the greatest spectacle scene around the world. Come on. Tonight is the night we face our enemies. Let's go. All the gold is up for grabs. Tonight. Always keep your eye on the prize.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the NERDWatch special. It's WrestleMania wrap-up night 2, WrestleMania 37. And, of course, I am here with a spectacular cast of characters that are huge wrestling fans like myself. So let's get right into it, shall we? I hope you all had a chance to watch and listen to yesterday's episode of the NERDWatch WrestleMania wrap-up night 1. It's out on all podcast platforms, and it is also out currently on YouTube. I posted the video as well, and it premiered on Facebook this morning for you guys. So I hope you guys had a chance to take a look at it. It was pretty cool in my opinion. But let me bring in everybody first. We've got one extra person here tonight, and this guy is not only a NERDWatch alum, he is also the seducer. Ladies and gentlemen, say what's up to Kai. He's in the house.
I like Hawaiian Giant.
Also joining us this evening, this man goes by the name Mitch, but he also goes by the name the Hawaiian Destroyer. Ladies and gentlemen, say what's up to the one and only Mitch. He's in the house tonight.
How's it?
Also joining us this evening, this next man is Stone Cold Stunning. He is also a next level professional and dadgummit a tremendous wrestling fan. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the man we call JJ.
Yo.
And
What's
last
up?
but certainly not least, this woman, this incredible woman, is a tremendous wrestling fan, a wrestling historian, mind you, as well as a diva in her own right. Ladies and gentlemen, say what's up to Angie. She's in the house tonight.
Yeah, me and Sami Zayn. Let's go.
Well, look, no need to go over any of the particulars like we did last night. Last night, we kind of got to know each other, but we all knew each other, but we had the audience find out who we were and things like that. So we're going to get right into the show. WrestleMania Night 2 in front of a live audience. And I guess we might as well start from the top or the bottom, as they say. So, Mitch, first match on the card at WrestleMania.
First match
Night 2.
on the card. Night 2.
Yes, sir.
Randy Orton versus The Fiend.
I tell you what, I was not surprised at the at that being the first match of the night. I was telling you guys in the chat, I figured it was going to be the one with the highest production value and probably a lot of moving pieces, which is exactly what it was. I will get to my my review of it momentarily, but let me start with Angie. Angie, this was quite a way to start off night 2 of WrestleMania. What were your thoughts and impressions?
I have to agree. I genuinely really like Bray Wyatt and everything he does. I was a big fan of him with The Fiend, with everything that he's done before. And I was glad to see him back, or I still am glad to see him back. I thought that the gigantic Jack-in-a-Box was incredible. I actually really liked that. I thought it was a really nice touch. And that, to me, was probably my favorite entrance of night 2, even though it was right at the beginning. It would just really fit within his sort of theme, the character that he's going for, and even the sort of Firefly Funhouse sort of playfulness. I thought it fed in really well. And Alexa Bliss, I appreciate that someone who is so idolized by many, many fans, male and female, has been so willing to look at this other side and maybe not necessarily be the typical pretty girl that she usually is. She's in a lot of the crazier makeup. She's done a lot of the aesthetically different hairstyles and clothes and stuff. So I appreciate all that stuff from a character standpoint. This match did not surprise me as far as how everything kind of unfolded. I am a little bit sad, though, with the finish. because I am a very big Bray Wyatt fan. I really liked The Fiend. I was glad that he came back, but now it's just sort of like, okay, well, now he's lost. Whatever.
I like that. Oh shucks.
Yeah.
yeah. Exactly.
I had to restrain myself from swearing there because I was upset when I watched it. And it not that he can't come back from a loss, but why should he have to again? You know what I mean?
Good point. Excellent point. Jay, what about you, buddy? What'd you think of the first match?
Before we get to the first match, the sunset was beautiful. I saw pictures of it online. So that was
of course. Wow. The fact that you mentioned the sunset before the match tells me a lot about where we're going with this.
Yeah, the sunset was great. I mean, there's like a lot of people posting on forums like, oh, the sunset, like, ooh, that was a beautiful sunset. And the weather was clear, was great. And then the sun went down, and then the first match started, right? So we get into, I love the Jack in the Box. I was craving a jumbo jack at that moment.
You're such a bastard.
And I was hoping when Alexa Bliss was turning the crank, right?
Yeah, she was cranking it.
She was. She, I was so hoping that that Bray would jump out like freaking Rey Mysterio.
Booyaka, booyaka.
Who's that jumping out the sky?
But he came out. I like the way he kind of popped up real slowly. The anarchy theatrics were
right.
I cut of the match. I say that because if you notice his the vest that he wore, it's actually a tribute to the Joker from the Snyder Cut of Justice League. It was a Kevlar vest.
Right? No, I noticed that. Yeah, the Kevlar piece.
Yeah. It's like, ooh, okay, this is gonna be cool. I noticed Randy. He never wore white. He's always wearing black. So it's like, okay, this is gonna be different. But the match itself was what I thought it was gonna be. I mean, we didn't know where it was gonna go, which way. I mean, like the whole thing leading up to it was and to be honest.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So it is what it was. The ending was pretty interesting, where Alexa Bliss came out and she looked different, and then she was like sweating black. Came out of her forehead, whatever, and
right, looked like it came out of the crown of thorns she was wearing or something, right?
Yeah. It was like something from Black Friday, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure, I agree.
If we're talking religion, but that was pretty. So I want to see how this plays out on Monday, because I got questions and I want answers. On Monday. So,
it's interesting that you bring up Monday, because this match felt like it could have been on Monday.
It should have been on Monday.
Yeah. It felt like a match that should have been on Raw, or could have been on Raw. Yeah. I mean, if that's just me. Anyway, what about you, Mitch? What do you think?
So yeah, that sunset over Tampa Bay was lovely.
Wow. You guys. Wow.
The entrance, both entrances, Randy's entrance, paying homage to Mandy Rose. That was cool.
That was freaking funny.
Yes.
He definitely ribbed her, dude. He ribbed her hardcore.
True.
Dude.
The Fiend's entrance, the Fiend's promo before the match, where he magically turned back into the regular Fiend. The match itself, like these two guys, Angie and Jay said, went as what I thought it was. The ending sucked. Why does Bray Wyatt or the Fiend have to lose all the time? He is so over with the fans that he continues to lose. Here's the kicker. Nope. I think what's happening. I think they're building up Alexa Bliss to be Sister Abigail. And this is where this is where Alexa Bliss is now superseding the Fiend, because the Fiend stopped. stopped everything what he was doing when he seen what was going on.
He did turn around and he did look at her for the dramatic effect. So you are right. I mean, if that's what if he keeps continually failing as the Fiend, that does kind of make sense. I can see that. So I think, well, here's the thing. Well, before I get into mine, Kai, what did you think?
Wow, dude, I don't know. I can't stand him losing again and again. It's like we liked the Fiend when he was first introduced. He was this almost mythical character that came into to replace Bray Wyatt. I mean, I liked the whole Wyatt Funhouse thing for a little while, but then once he started losing and all, it just feels like it just took all the momentum and hot air out of it. Don't get me wrong, I agree with JJ. The moment I saw that Jack in the Box, like, oh god, I want to go and get a bacon ultimate right now.
Yes.
Good Lord.
Goodness.
But I feel like I can agree with Mitch on the fact that it seems like they're putting more emphasis on oh god, I'm losing her name again. Alexa Bliss. Yeah, I can believe they're gonna make her into Sister Abigail. I always heard they always wanted to have a Sister Abigail character from backstage newses, and I can believe they'll make Alexa Bliss into Sister Abigail. But again, I this whole match could have been a Monday Night Snore.
Well, let me get into my review real quick, and I'll try and make this as succinct as possible. Two things. Angie's 100% right about the Fiend continually losing. That's a problem in my estimation. If he's quote unquote undefeatable. Remember when he first started, he was undefeatable. Mm-hmm. That's gone. Okay. Number two, what I don't understand is that, and this is what bothers me about the whole Fiend issue right now in the WWE. Is that when the Fiend came on the scene, it was unique because we thought that Bray Wyatt was crazy and he had some psychological issues. Now, through this progression, what has ended up happening is now now it's something more than that. And like whoever said it, it's a mythical thing. And for me, this whole mythical horrific being doesn't work. For me, it works on a psychological level in the effect of the Fiend between Bray Wyatt versus the Fiend. That made sense. Remember the love-hate? Mm-hmm. Remember that whole thing, or what was it? Yeah, was it, or was it what was it like?
Heel.
It was heel. That's right.
Yeah.
Right. Heel and hurt. Right. That made sense because he's psychologically not there. He had issues mentally that weren't being addressed. Right. And that kind of came to a head when we saw last year with the WrestleMania match, or not even a match, but the cinematic episode between him and Cena. Which actually worked for the character because it was a psychological thing, not a magic or mythical thing. That worked on that level. Now I almost think the character of the Fiend is so watered down that number one, I've stopped caring. But number two, he's almost a caricature of a Freddy character that is not even scary anymore. It's like watching a Friday the 13th, but watching like number 6 and 7 after you know what's going on already. It there's no effect. All you want to see Jason do is kill a bunch of teenagers having sex and drinking alcohol. That's it.
Hell yeah.
That's all you want. So there's no depth.
Mm-hmm.
There's no depth to Bray anymore, right? So first of all, getting back to the match, I thought this was a terrible match. I thought the only thing good about it was Alexa Bliss. I thought the finish was awful. The Fiend losing, back that up. Randy winning means nothing. It doesn't mean anything. It means nothing. This seemed like a paycheck match for Randy, right? Randy conquering his demon of the Fiend means nothing because he's already gone through this before with the Fiend, but not the Fiend, but Bray Wyatt, right? He's gone through this before. So for me, this story just doesn't add up at all. It doesn't bring anything new to the table. I was incredibly disappointed. And the fact that he came back as the resurrected Fiend, it didn't resonate with me. It just was like, oh, okay. So that's how they're going to get out of him being the burnt Fiend, is that he's just resurrected as the old Fiend. I was like, okay, they what they did is that they wrote themselves into a box, right? They wrote themselves into a box and didn't, quote unquote, considering how big that box was there, and they couldn't write themselves out of it. So all we're gonna do is we're going to resurrect him, and he's going to be he's gonna be the new he's gonna be like the Messiah, right? He's coming back, and he's gonna be pure. He's gonna be the pure Fiend now. But it doesn't mean anything if he loses. And by the way, if this leads to Alexa Bliss being Sister Abigail, that means that Alexa Bliss is now overshadowing Bray Wyatt and totally squashing the Fiend, right? Yeah. So, because if she's the one that's pulling the strings, right, and now we're supposed to be afraid of Alexa as opposed to the Fiend, you're totally squashing the Fiend, right? That's it. The Fiend is, I think, if Mitch is correct, I think the Fiend's run is over, and anything good that could have came out of it is gone, unless Randy, this is not finished, and the Fiend coaxes him into a match at the Firefly Funhouse, which is possible. You catch what I'm saying? But overall, I gotta say that I was not impressed with this match. I mean, I was watching people's comments online about the match, and I was like, boy, I feel the exact same way. No one that I saw dug this match at all. So I mean, if you liked it, I get it. Whatever, that's cool. That's what you like. I just, as a wrestling fan, was not there. Didn't feel it. Didn't like it. I will say, and as a positive, it was nice having the Fiend back as opposed to the watered down thing. I will say that having the mask, which was cool, having him back in that mask, which made sense in the beginning, still makes sense now, but now it's all watered down, so it doesn't mean jack anymore. So yeah, I mean, honestly, this was not a very good match, and I can't even believe I'm saying this. It's not even as strong as Night One's first match. I mean, Night One's first match blows this away. Oh man! Well, I mean, without a doubt. Yeah. And I wasn't a big fan of that match either. But McIntyre and Lashley put a hurting on. If you were to compare the two, put a hurting on this match big time, in my opinion. So for sure, yeah, for sure.
I got one thing.
Yes, sir. Yeah, well, go ahead, Mitch.
We all, I guess, we all looked over the tribute to Brody Lee.
Yeah, no, I was about to bring that up too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
I noticed that, and I was like, "Hey, yeah!"
Right. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah,
that was nice.
That was nice.
It was cool. It was cool at one point, but you're killing the character more because the character doesn't talk, doesn't do that stuff. And so, I mean, and it's cool, but you know.
But you're also killing the character. When you're killing the character, and I hate to say this, with a character like The Fiend, when you do a tribute to Brody Lee, you are also putting a hurt on the character because he shouldn't be acknowledging Brody Lee. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I get it, but I mean, I know that Bray wants to acknowledge him, which is fantastic. I totally get it. But you're diluting The Fiend even further. I mean, and I guess that's why he didn't say anything about it. He just did something, which I guess is better than him saying something about it. But I mean, that's a forgivable thing considering, you know, how awesome Brody Lee was and how, by the way, underutilized he was in the WWE. Don't even get me started on that. But yeah, that's not the point of this program. But anyway, not a good start for WrestleMania 37 Night 2. Mitch, next match on the card.
Next match on the card, Tamina Snooka and Natty versus Nia Jax and Shayna Bazer for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships.
Now, Angie, I am going to go to you first on this one because your
the token girl.
No,
woman?
it's not. Well,
woman?
you are a woman. No. But you were very vocal last night on our podcast about your appreciation for the women's division, and this was kind of the culmination of the tag team title for the women. How do you think they did? Did they do it proud? Were there opportunities missed? What'd you think?
I would have booked this differently on a personal level, but that's just because of my own personal biases with the women involved in this match. I thought, especially with how they've been building up both Tamina and Natalya, that they were going to get it here. I thought specifically Tamina was going to beat Nia in this. That was what I went into WrestleMania Night 2 believing that, especially after their big triumph in Night 1 when they won, even though, it didn't quite show as much of their dominance as I would have liked. I thought maybe Night 2, we're going to see them put up the good fight, show why these two women who are multi-generational talents, right?
Yeah.
That wrestling in their blood, why these two should be taken seriously. Right. And yes, I understand their careers are closer to the end than the beginning. They've been wrestling, both of them have been wrestling for quite some time compared to Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. But it would have been a nice tribute regardless. And it's not as if Natalya or Tamina suck at wrestling, Yeah. Maybe they're not the best wrestlers in the world, but Natalya especially, definitely a ring general. Tamina, an iconic powerhouse in the women's division. And I've always really liked Tamina. No, ain't nobody meaner than Tamina. So I've always been really into that. And I really thought that she was going to get something. And it wasn't a bad match. Like, they looked competitive. It looked like it could have gone either way. But I am still kind of disappointed. And this is coming from someone who also loves Shayna Baszler. I was disappointed that they got the win, because I felt like there was much more as far as stories that you could tell with a new champions in that specific title, new women's champions. And also, not to go too far off, but my dream booking was that, Nia gets pinned by Tamina. Nia and Shayna break up. Shayna chases the title now, the Raw Women's title. Nia goes away. Like, that was fine. I hate to say it. I don't dislike Nia Jax that much, but I feel like
that much.
I feel like Nia gets a lot of the attention in this tag team, and this is a minor thing that bugs me, but whose music hit when that tag team won? Nia.
That's right.
Even though Shayna's the one that won it for them.
That's right.
So that was just like a little nitpicky thing for me, but overall, I liked it. I like when you get to see these women who take wrestling seriously, who have immense talent and have immense passion for it, go in the ring.
Yeah.
Not the finish I wanted, but not a bad match, especially after the first match.
I'm going to be on your side and totally agree with you about. I think what Nia is being built up to be in this division is what Tamina should have been 10 years ago. That's what she should have been. Tamina should have been where Nia is, and in my opinion, I don't think Nia has what Tamina has, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. I'm talking about. I think that Tamina is more of a more foreboding and intimidating character than Nia is. Nia doesn't, at least for me, Nia doesn't seem to have the instinct that Tamina does. I mean, I'm not so much for the business maybe, but on the side of the character side, Tamina has that. She has that killer instinct. You know what I mean? And to my recollection, I mean, we did a storyline with Nia where Alexa Bliss made her cry.
Exactly.
Oh,
exactly. God. This is exactly what I was thinking of as you were talking about that character thing. And sorry to interrupt and explode, but that totally defanged Nia for me.
100.
The fact that they had made her appear weak to words.
Yes.
By Alexa Bliss. It's like, really? She's like half your size. Just step on her.
Right.
Don't listen to her. Just
don't be upset at don't be upset at the words. Be upset at the betrayal.
Yeah.
That didn't make that for me. I didn't feel like at the end of that WrestleMania match, I felt like I was rooting for Alexa. Like, it's like I was looking at Nia going, get over yourself. Stop crying. And she cried in the ring when she was. Anyway, I'm getting off track. I think Tamina deserves a WrestleMania moment. I think Tamina, they may not in the back. I don't know what the conversation is in the back about Tamina, but man, she's good. And let me tell you something. And this is not a knock on anybody's body weight or nothing, but she carries her weight a lot better than Nia does. You know what I'm saying? I think Tamina is more menacing than Nia is. And I mean, and I mean that in the sense of what Nia has is that she should be, Nia should be like what she was in the beginning before the whole Alexa thing. She should be a Mack truck. You know what I mean? That's what she should be doing. She should be going through all of these, this whole women's division. Remember she was the unstoppable force. Remember that whole thing that all of a sudden went away when she started crying about Alexa Bliss making fun of her. So Tamina's never had that shot, and Nia did, and I think I think it ruined her. And Tamina never had the opportunity to. So I mean, like I said, that's just a storyline thing. It's not about the ladies at all. It's just a storyline issue that I had. Anyway, Jay, I'll get off of that. I'll get off of Nia. No pun intended. What did you think, Jay, of the match?
Going about them. Yeah, she should have been a Mack truck and not a lifted 2003 Toyota Tacoma. That's for sure.
Correct. Correct.
Oh, lifted, bro. 2003. Okay, so this is gonna be my shortest rebuttal. All right. Respect to all four competitors in that ring. Okay, big ups.
Yep.
Tamina had her moment last night. This one was, I felt that they kind of went through the motions with this one. It went to the motions to where I fell asleep watching this match.
Ooh,
okay?
interesting.
I took a nap. Okay, and the time I woke up is when the bell rung, and then and then I heard I'm not like most girls. Like, wait, they won? Holy crap! Okay. And I can't rewind back, right? So like, okay, well, we're gonna have to move forward. So with that being said, to me, they just kind of went through the motions, but I'm sure it had its moments which I missed because I was taking a nap, and now I'm up.
Well, let me tell you. So what essentially, let me break it down. What you're saying is that the back of your eyelids were more entertaining than that match. I get it. I understand. I know.
It was, yeah, and that's all I'm gonna say about it because I didn't see most of it.
Gotcha. Kai, what did you think?
I'm with him. I almost fell asleep through this match. It was, God. I thought it would be at least a little bit better given the fact that when you got both Tamina and Natalia in it, but no. Nothing can do to help this match even further, and that's all I have to say about this one.
By the way, Nia's got a very dirty mouth. Whoever was in the back of the truck was hit that censor button at the wrong time.
Yeah, they totally missed it. I was just like,
you missed it.
I missed it. I don't know what it was. So yeah.
No.
It was quick.
She said a naughty word, and the camera was right on her face, twice. And then you hear the beep twice, and you hear the beep after the naughty word. It was hilarious.
So no mention of the hole then, huh?
No, negative. No, negative.
No mention of the faction called the Hole, because the other promotion has the Inner Circle. WWE has a Hole.
Right. So you could fit the hole in the Inner Circle. I got you. No, I see where you're going with this. I see where you're going with this. Mitch, what about you? What do you think of this match?
All right, so this is the train. So the first match, we're in a 90-degree angle going down. This match got it a little bit more level. Kind of sad they didn't put Tamina and Natty over the way that they got. I mean, the way it should have. They could have used this, have Shayna turn on Nia and have her get back to a singles run, like Angie said.
Yes, 100%, absolutely.
Other than that, yes, blah. That's all.
Yeah.
I mean, the match was blah. Was better than the first match, but not too much better. So
it's interesting that I don't know what happened with Shayna, but I will say that whatever stopped her run and whatever reasons are behind the scenes of why she couldn't be, she was on a course to be a contender in the women's division, but whatever happened, I don't know, but whatever has happened and has veered her to connect with Nia, I think it has totally stalled Shayna's career. I mean, I don't see her going anywhere. She's holding the tag title, which is great, but she came up as a singles competitor, right? So I mean, and it works for some singles competitors. Let's say it worked for Sasha and Bayley. It works for the Riot Squad. It even worked for the Iconics. By the way, that is my favorite women's moment in the tag team division when they won the titles at WrestleMania. I love that one. That's one of my favorite moments in WrestleMania.
I think
so. What's that, Mitch?
I think what had happened was, I think her and her two friends were supposed to move up, but that never came to fruition because I think one of them got hurt, and the other one
Jessamine Duke,
Jessamine Duke got hurt,
and then the other one got pregnant.
Right, and they were supposed to come up together as a trio. Gotcha.
Yes,
makes sense.
That died. The other thing is, you forget who Nia Jax's cousin is. I mean, it's The Rock. They're always going to push The Rock.
I didn't forget that at all. It just didn't matter to me.
And then you hear the rumblings on Tamina's dad. That's the other thing. Like, people like Jimmy.
That's
Snooka
true too.
He quote unquote. I don't think he did it, but that's probably another thing.
Well,
like
the ring thing with him possibly murdering his wife, and
right.
I think that does hang over Tamina's head a little bit for sure. I get that. I mean, that's understandable, but that's once again, why are we punishing Tamina for something that her dad did?
Exactly.
It doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
I mean, it just that if that's the case, then that I have a huge problem with. But anyway, moving on to the next match. Mitch, go ahead.
Sorry, but it's the legacy thing runs both ways. As much as you see people like Charlotte praised for being the child of Ric Flair, right? And she's definitely earned her way past that. But for a long time, everyone was like, oh, well, that's Ric Flair's kid.
Yeah.
And so that familial tie is so strong that good or bad, it'll follow you. And it's unfortunate for Tamina because, regardless of whether or not you think Snooka did it or didn't do it, the accusation was enough.
Yeah.
And that's her dad, for better or worse. And she definitely supported him all the way through, of course, as any of us would if that was our dad. But because of that, and because they still remain so close now, it's hard to give too much to her because, of course, any kid can Google Tamina Snuka and see her dad, Jimmy Superfly Snuka, might have killed the girl. So I get the hesitance. I don't think it's fair, but like I said, that family tie is inescapable for better or worse, for right or wrong, and it's unfortunate. I agree with you, G.
Good point. Mitch, So far, this tag team women's match has brought us back from the brink of what the first match was setting up. As far as being, the first match set the tone, which was a terrible tone, but this one actually kind of leveled it out, like you said. But what was the third match? What did we have?
The third match of the night: Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens.
Well, you know what? If you don't mind, I'm going to start on Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, and then I'm going to go to Angie again because that's Sammy's a boy. Up until this point, the Sami Zayn Kevin Owens match was the best thing that happened to WrestleMania. They were telling Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens were doing what they do best. They were telling a story in the ring. There was a decent angle involving the conspiracy theory tape or his film and this. And I thought that the story could have been told without Logan Paul, period. I know that they're trying to add this internet YouTube clout. I understand it. I get it. Whatever. I could have done without that guy. I love seeing him stunned at the end. But he did nothing for this. He didn't move anything forward. He didn't help. It would have been a lot better if we had found out that Logan Paul was conspiring against Sammy in some way, that Kevin had got to him, or whatever the case may be. Like he was conspiring against because he thought he thought it would be good for his image to get on WWE, and that he really didn't believe Sammy about the conspiracy. That would have been a little better for his storyline, but more or less in the story, he did exactly what he did at the announce table. Nothing. I gotta say though, once again, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, with as little as they had to work with as far as angles go, they killed it. And they know each other back to front. They know each other. They work so well together, in my opinion, that they could have done that with their eyes closed, and it still looked damn good. Once again, great match. As far as Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn knowing one another, I think that they should have at least resolved the conspiracy story. I hope they wrap that up on Raw. I hope, because that was the whole point of the match. Like I feel like these stories are getting so complicated and so convoluted that what gets lost is the wrestling. That what gets lost is the fight or where we are in these stories. Like I said, I said, I don't know if I said this last night, but my issue with wrestling now is that they're trying to tell stories outside the ring. Outside the ring, there should be angles, and then you tell the story of the angle in the ring. That's the point. And maybe I'm old school. Maybe wrestling is passing me by because I'm getting older. But man, these convoluted stories are, I don't know what we're trying to do. I don't know if we're trying to be Hollywood. I don't know if these guys are trying to get jobs outside of WWE. I don't know if Vince is like saying, I like it, pal. And this is what, I don't know. But I think some of these, yeah, exactly. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but this kind of the conspiracy theory video was great. It worked. I think it worked from the beginning. I think it works good with Sammy because he really, once again, Sammy carries the story and he really bought into it. He really made you believe it, which is what Sammy does well. But to have no resolution at Mania is a bit disappointing. And I think it just goes to show, like, well, I think we can hold on to this story for another couple of weeks, or I think we can stretch this out for another couple of months and get, I don't know. But I think the resolution for this would have been great. This is the stage to do it on. If there's no tape, then there's no tape. That's fine. Then just say so. But if there is one, then show us what we got and confirm his conspiracy theory. Whatever the case may be, I felt like there was zero resolution, but damn, the match was good. The match was good. Anyway, Angie, these are your boys. This is your boys, Mr. El Generico and Kevin Steen. What did you think?
All right. First off, sorry for interrupting you in that last segment. I just get real heated about.
Oh no! Please do so. As long as you say you want to interrupt, it's all good. No worries.
Second off, I want to tell you guys what my prediction was for this match. And let me grab my figures again. I put them away, but let me grab my figures again. I thought, of course, they were on two opposite sides going into the match, right? You have face Kevin Owens being like, Sammy, you're crazy. You're living in an alternative reality.
Right.
You gotta wake up. There's no conspiracy against you, friend. Yep. I've known you for 15 years.
Yep.
There's no conspiracy. And Sammy being like, you think I'm crazy? I'm not crazy. You're the one that's crazy. Everyone's crazy.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So they walk into WrestleMania on opposite sides. I thought Kevin was gonna beat some sense into him, and they were gonna come out of WrestleMania on the same side with Kevin winning, having turned Sammy back to face. That was my dream wrestling scenario. Everybody's friends again. And then they both hit Logan Paul with finishers. So I was half right about that.
Half right, yeah.
As far as this match went, I thought it was good but short. It was much, much shorter than I was expecting it to be. And perhaps that's because of the storyline they were trying to go with Logan Paul.
Yeah.
It didn't surprise me that Logan Paul, because I'm not really a big Logan Paul fan. In fact, this is the most amount of Logan Paul I've ever seen in my life. I've never watched any of his YouTube things. I've never been interested in any of that. And frankly, I felt a little bit tricked by the WWE that they made me look at Logan Paul for so long.
Amen.
It didn't surprise me that he was kind of the jerk at the end of the match that both, consoled Sammy and then went up to Kevin and was like, yeah, it was awesome. It was a good match, dude. That wasn't surprising to me. And I was hoping that Kevin would immediately reject Logan Paul right there to show Sammy, this guy's not your friend. I've known you for so long. I'm your friend. I've been trying to help you. And then, hit the stunner, hit the haluva kick, and then they, go off together. Because again, I was trying to hold on to my dream. It's hard for these two guys to have a bad match against one another.
Right.
They know each other so well. Yeah. They work with each other so well. And especially because of all the history they have, you can see lots of callbacks to matches they've had before.
Yeah.
Which I like for them. And especially because they always build up their friendship and how long they've known each other into any storyline they have with one another. It always makes sense. I think my only complaint about this match was that it was too short and there was no resolution. I really thought there was going to be something. Either Kevin comes around to Sammy's side and is like, actually, you're right. I think there is some sort of conspiracy. Or Sammy coming around to Kevin's side and being like, you're right. I've been so convoluted and so upset about everything that I haven't been able to see clearly. And we didn't get either of that. And I just hope that this doesn't mean I have to see more Logan Paul on my television.
Yeah, I mean, there were internet rumors that Logan Paul was gonna be on WWE, or they're gonna set up a fight with him and some other guy like KSI or something. And I was like,
oh God,
I have no interest. I don't know what the hell all that stuff is. And it's like, but then again, once again, Bad Bunny proved me wrong last night. So I mean, maybe it works, but. Yeah, Ange, I think you're absolutely right. I think that this, and maybe, you're right about it being short, but I think that was the brilliance of it. I think they knew that what was going to work was the match being as tight as possible, right? Not prolonging it by any stretch, no pun intended, and knowing that everybody was waiting for Logan Paul's douchebag face to get stunned, right? That was it. That's what everybody wanted to see. That was basically it. And that was, by the way, that up until that point, that was the biggest reaction, with the exception of the Fiend getting booed, right? Which, go figure. The Fiend gets booed, and then Logan Paul gets, he doesn't get cheered, but Kevin Owens gets cheered for stunning him. But
Right.
yeah, you're absolutely right, Angie. I think that I think it was great that it was a shorter match, and it made the fact that it was a tighter match made it one of the better matches on the card. Period. Kai, what did you think?
Yeah, I could have done a lot more with this one than any other matches. I mean, with these two guys, like Angie said, they know each other front and back. Any match they pull off, is usually like a good banger of a match. And yeah, I honestly I couldn't care less for Logan Paul unless you was going to make something with him, like what they did with Bad Bunny last night. He was not really needed. He was basically just sitting there on the sideline for what? Nothing.
Yeah, he was window dressing. That's all he was. He was window dressing just to get the youngers into watching Peacock. I
honestly, if you had shown most people this match as well to Logan Paul, most people would have got into it. Hell, I think the best match of last night was the one with Bad Bunny because I thought that was actually pretty good.
Well, that's because Bad Bunny committed himself, and Bad Bunny did the work, and he put in the work to get it right. And so kudos to him. And he, as a wrestling fan, we're very, very finicky wrestling fans. And when people come into our yard and start, saying that they're going to wrestle, you're very skeptical, especially as a fan. So he earned my respect last night. And
to be frank, is that John Morrison trusting him to pull off a Canadian destroyer was actually shocking.
We talked about that last night, and it's the Bunny Destroyer, sir.
I'm sorry, I wasn't here last night. I was asleep.
It's the Bunny Destroyer. What about you, Mitch? What do you think?
I got a question. Does the WWE have something against the package powerbomb? A package pile driver for Kevin Owens?
Yes. I think.
No, he doesn't hit it. I mean,
no one does pile drivers allowed. Period.
Yeah. The thing is that no pile drivers are permitted, with the exception of Kane and Undertaker, which did the tombstone, which was on the knees and not on the butt.
Yeah.
So so you can't do
something new today. Just like leg slaps when you do kicks, right?
Yeah, no leg slaps when you do kicks, baby. None of that anymore.
Okay. So this match brought the train back up the hill. It was my match of the night at the time. It was short and sweet. They hit all their moves. They put KO over, but I was hoping Sammy got put over because Kevin Owens always has his WrestleMania moment. Sammy never had one, so I thought this would be the year for Sammy to have a WrestleMania moment and go over KO, and then show his conspiracy video right after, which makes him a complete jack. You know what? Which was total opposite of what he was saying, and then he gets.
And you're right.
That like that
would have totally made sense because if Sammy won, he could have got on the mic tonight and said, "Guess what? Tomorrow night on Monday Night Raw, we're going to view the tape," right? And that would have got people interested in watching, right? Because that promo package before the match was good, and it kind of set up for those that didn't understand the story. It was there. If you're right, if Sami Zayn got his WrestleMania moment and went over on Kevin, and he could have said, "You know what?" And he could have grabbed the mic and could have done it right at Kevin's face when he's looking up at the lights and said, "Kevin, tomorrow night, pal, I'm going to prove it to you tomorrow night." You know what I'm saying? And get people all kind of hyped up for it. You're right. I think that actually would have worked better. Kevin going over, I understand in respect of trying to wake Sammy up, but furthering Sammy's insanity is probably more fun for the viewer. I mean, I guess I could be wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It just you're right. This the only other thing I was just about to say something, but I just totally lost my train of thought.
Because he's old.
Oh, you know what? I got it. Yeah, I'm old. You're right. Going back to the whole ending storylines, we all forget that WrestleMania was always the ending to everything. Like, you start You start after WrestleMania for storylines, and you end most of them at WrestleMania. That we're losing that in wrestling is that WrestleMania is supposed to be the end all, be all.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. And then the next night on Raw, we start fresh. Stories are fresh, new opponents, everything changes. I completely agree. Everything is supposed to be settled at Mania. That's the point. You know what I mean? So when you have things going beyond Mania, I'm with you. I'm with you, Mitch. I think you're absolutely right. I think we got to get back to starting fresh, the Monday night after Raw, and getting new stories going for everyone.
Right.
That should be like the cycle. You would think, right? I mean, it would make you feel more. It would make me feel more comfortable as a fan to go, okay, these stories have been resolved. They've been going on for a year. Let's move to this, or we'll have another storyline that's tandem to this that doesn't deal with the same opponents, but it has the same story arc, maybe, or whatever the case may be. But anyway, Jay, what did you think of Kevin Owens? And I hope you were awake.
Oh yeah, I
Okay,
was
good.
awake. But correction. It's not gonna, the documentary is not gonna be on Raw. It's gonna be on SmackDown. There's SmackDown.
Oh, that's right. Oh, right.
Yeah,
Oh, that's right. They're on SmackDown.
Okay.
You're right.
So before we get into the match and everything, I was robbed.
Why?
I was robbed of one thing, of something that Kevin Owens wanted to do last year at WrestleMania, and was to jump off the pirate ship. He didn't jump off the pirate ship. Because if he jumped off the pirate ship, I would have bought that NFT and invested in it. Okay, I would have bought that NFT.
What I thought you were going to say is running your fingers through Sami Zayn's beautiful bold chest hair.
Hell
oh, okay.
No, okay. So I was I think the people were robbed of that moment because he wanted to jump off that pirate ship because of his son. His son wanted him to jump off that pirate ship and kill somebody. All right, but that didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
It didn't happen. Okay, but anyway, I think I want to see the whole documentary on Peacock. Like the full half hour of it or 15 minutes. That would have been awesome because that's what I want to see. But the match itself, minus Logan Paul, I'm not gonna even talk about Logan Paul. The match was great. The match was it was to the point. It didn't have to be long. It was straight to the freaking point. And we've seen them in Ring of Honor. We've seen them as Steen versus Generico. They know how to make a match. Okay, we've seen them in NXT. They've had longer matches there, but then even if they had a short match, it made sense.
Yeah,
it made a lot of sense. For this match, to me, it stole the show for night 2. It didn't have to go too crazy, but it went crazy enough to where wow, it told the story of okay, Kevin needs to beat some sense into Sammy. Yo, you know what? I changed. You can change too. That's kind of the thing. You're nuts, but in order for me to get you out of that, I have to beat your ass for it.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's what he did. And what was the part at the end? He held him by his chin, said something, and then he stunned him.
And
to
he
me, I was
stunned him.
That was a moment right there. That was a moment. It's like you telling your friend dude, you need to lay off that thing, man. You need to lay off that. I need you to come back to me. I think Kevin wants Sammy to come back to him. Dude, be my friend again. I need you to be by my side. Yeah.
Exactly. Like an extreme intervention, which totally makes sense. Yeah, I agree.
And then the whole thing with, I'll mention Logan Paul one time, oh yeah, you're friends with this dude? Dude, we go way back. Who's this guy? Why? Because he's gonna get you likes. He's gonna give you some clout, whatever. Well, I can't do that because this match is now gonna be talked about. And we don't need Logan Paul for that stuff.
Right. He's gonna give you likes. I gave you my friendship for 15 plus years. So yeah, I agree. I agree with you 100%.
And at the end of the day, people probably won't see it as an emotional match, but it was, because if you know the history of them two prior to the WWE,
it makes it deeper. Yeah,
it's such a deeper. The match means more because it's on a deeper level.
Absolutely.
And going back to NXT a little bit, real quick, is that Kevin Owens did some dastardly things, and now he's trying to rewrite the wrongs. He's trying to be the nice guy, but still beat guys' asses, whatever.
Sure.
But be like, Sammy, dude, you're my boy. Come back to to where we used to hang out and things like that, you know. So and
Yeah.
and I don't know how it's gonna play out on Friday night on SmackDown.
Thank you.
But we shall see. I think we should watch this in you know, not at home. I think SmackDown we should watch it somewhere public.
maybe. You know
Maybe, Greg?
maybe. You know what solidified
Yeah.
Kevin's face was the
Yeah.
fact that after the match he went to go hug his kids and kiss his wife.
Yes.
And that kind of
yes.
that kind of solidified him as a face right there.
Yeah.
And he's not. I don't think he's going to be turning anytime soon. And
No.
I thought that was a really cool WrestleMania moment for him and his kids. Or his family. Period.
Now going back to that, you know, dad bods are hot, right?
Oh, dad bods are super hot. Yeah.
Yeah, and he has the ultimate dad bod.
Listen.
So he's pushing the whole dad bod thing, you know, like I'm a dad, I'm wrestling, but I don't look like The Rock, but I'm wrestling. And I got kids.
I'm glad you're checking Kevin Owens out, boy.
Hey, I'm working on my dad bod, you know, I gotta get
I have a dad bod.
Hey, there you go, baby.
And guess what? You know, all the ladies, they can look, but they can't touch.
They can look.
I got a dad bod.
You guys are horrible. All right. Let me pull this. Let me pull this plane back up. Mitch, what was the next match? Where's the next match on the card?
Next match was my surprise match of the night: Sheamus versus Riddle.
Go ahead. You start us off there, Mitch. What'd you think?
Wow.
I think this match was better than the KO and Sammy match.
Interesting.
I mean, it was like the first match on night one, powerhouse. Move, I mean, high spot. I thought Riddle was going to go over. Could have been Riddle's moment. But the way WWE was going with heel champions, I mean, it doesn't surprise me that Sheamus won. Because, yeah, it was better than expected. I knew what I was going to get with KO and Sammy, but I didn't know I was going to get a good match with Sheamus and Riddle. Because Riddle sometimes can be hot-cold. Sheamus, I mean, I thought Sheamus would have to carry Riddle, but it was actually pretty even. The finisher was good when he tried to do the moonsault and got that brogue kick to the face. So that was good. A lot of power moves.
Oh,
my surprise match of the night.
Very good. Kai, what did you think of that one, buddy?
I don't know if you can hear the loud rain in the background of my house area, but I thought that match was fun. That was a pretty good match, especially with the brogue kick in the end, because that looked like he hit on the bottom of his chin.
It was on the button for sure.
Yeah, I thought he may have bit his tongue when he started spitting out that much blood. It's like, oh Jesus.
Yeah,
it was like,
I agree.
But yeah, again, you can't go wrong with Sheamus, who's been in the ring for how long, and Matt Riddle is always fun to watch, especially when he gets a little orthodox with his movesets and everything. Yeah, so I can't have anything bad about this one. Again, this one felt like it needed to be in the right place to help with the flow of the matches, because the rest of them were pretty hard to deal with, especially them being a snore fest.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Sheamus with the title, it was perfect.
Interesting. Jay, what about you?
Wow. You know what? This match also surprised me as well. I thought it was a fun match. But I've noticed something. I'll tell you about that in just a few moments. But it was a good back and forth. I think the whole thing with Sheamus being, the serious brutes, and then you got the bro, coming in doing his thing on his scooter. I think that was cool. Of course, the big moment was the bro kick when after the moonsault he got hit and he went down. But I don't know if you noticed this. I noticed something.
What's that?
I noticed that Sheamus saying fella at the end when he won the title. He never said fella in a while.
No, I don't think he has. You're right.
No, he said fella, and that's face Sheamus. Okay. And then when
that's a good point. I didn't think about that. You're right. Okay. It is face Sheamus.
And then with Riddle, being shocked, but you see the look in his eyes like, okay, now I'm mad because I lost the title. I think what may happen, this is, I don't know, I'm just speculation. I could be wrong, like I always
I know where
am.
he's going with this one.
But this one may be to the point where like he turns, like he's gonna do the bro thing, tag team with like one of like Lucha House Party or whatever, like one of those dudes, turn on him, beat the crap out of him, you know, like totally like straight up like MMA, like brother like scrap kind, like kick, you know, turn on this guy, and he'll be Riddle as a heel, and instead of wearing the flip flops, he's gonna wear shoes. Finally, but yeah, it may happen. You know, usually after Mania or during Mania, we see a changing of the guard, right? Where the heel turns face turns heel. This may be the one where we're gonna see that on Raw. I don't know.
Possible, definitely possible. Angie, what about you? What did you think?
Kind of echoing what everyone else said. I thought it was a nice, solid match between these two guys. I liked that I didn't feel like I knew who was going to win going in. Other matches I could kind of predict, but this one it was sort of like, oh, actually, yeah, there's a good chance Sheamus might take it. For lack of a better word, I was genuinely surprised by this match like everyone else. I thought these two guys worked pretty well together, considering you wouldn't necessarily think of them as having, you know, the ability to have a good chemistry in the ring with how different both of them are. The bro kick at the end, definitely probably one of my favorite finishes of the night. It was just flawless. And I also was concerned that he had like bitten his tongue because Riddle was just pouring blood out of his mouth. Oh, and yeah. I like the concept of Riddle turning heel here because we've seen so much of the goofiness of Riddle, and it's kind of become sort of like, all right, Matt Riddle, the stoner joke, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I think that to get to that next level, something needs to change, whether he turns heel or even at least just is a little bit more serious. It would be nice to have that change, because then I think more people would take him seriously as a competitor, and it wouldn't be so many people laughing at him, and not necessarily because it's a joke, but because he's sort of like the goofy guy.
Right. And now here's the thing: is you're right about that, because nothing solidified him being the goofy guy than when he did the promo with RVD right before the match.
Yeah.
Okay.
RVD rolling papers.
RVD rolling papers on a WrestleMania show. I was shocked that was even there. Yeah. Wow. Oof. That was crazy. That was nuts.
Cigarettes, it's fine.
Okay, lady.
No, they're not allowed cigarettes. This is all
PC, baby. That is
PG.
PC.
But here's the thing.
Politically correct.
I got to tell you something. That when I saw RVD and Riddle next to one another, and when I think that RVD when I think Riddle is sillier than RVD, we have a problem. I think that this upward momentum of him raising his goofiness level is working against him. Because I think there's gonna come a point where this is gonna work against him. I'm sure Vince loves it. I'm sure he likes the laughs, but the fact of the matter is this stoner bro thing does nothing for his character. He came in as a badass in NXT, as an MMA fighter, as a guy who was a former MMA fighter, came in here to wreck shop. Came into wrestling to wreck shop, right? And now I don't know if you guys have noticed this, by the way. Have you guys noticed now? It seems like he keeps his eyes even close. He closes his eyes even more than he used to, and like he has, it's just like the botch he did with Asuka on Raw the other night. You know, I don't think that was a botch. I think that was purposeful. I don't think that was a botch at all. I think that was real, and I think that was intended. And I think there's a problem with Riddle right now. Number one, his biggest problem is the fact that they got rid of his first name. That's where it started with me. Matt Riddle, that should be his name. It doesn't have to be Riddle. Matt Riddle's great. Just leave it alone. Original Bro, great promo for him. Original Bro is awesome, but you cannot water him down to the fact that he is that his character is even is vapid, or his character, for lack of a better term, goes up in smoke. Okay. As far as this match goes, getting to the match, first off, Sheamus has go home heat with me. I every time I see Sheamus on screen, I want to turn it off. I think Sheamus has had his time in the sun. I think Sheamus should be quote, no pun intended.
In the sun?
Yeah, no pun intended.
In the sun? You see how white he is?
Yeah, no pun intended.
Oh Jesus!
I think Sheamus at this point in his career, okay, at this point in his career, he should be bringing up other guys like Riddle. Okay, he's had his moment. He's had his WrestleMania moments. He's the guy that beat Daniel Bryan in 3 seconds or whatever it was at Mania. He's the guy that held the title for quite some time. He had, just recently he had a feud with McIntyre and Sheamus. They had the feud between those two. I think for me, every time I see Sheamus on screen, I want to turn the station. I can't. I don't like the character. I don't get it. He's a phenomenal athlete. I just don't. This is the same problem I have with McIntyre, except McIntyre doesn't have a go home heat with me. McIntyre, I think is definitely moldable. I think Sheamus, I think they're in the same boat together. I don't think that they can carry the brand forward, in my opinion. I think that ship has sailed. So this match, though, getting back to the point, Sheamus and Riddle was a much better match than I thought it was going to be. Okay, I will say, you guys talk about the bro kick. I think you guys got to hand it to freaking Matt Riddle for hitting that hitting that flip as accurate as he did, or else he could have been knocked unconscious when he took that bro kick. He could have taken that bro kick to the back of the head. But the fact of the matter is that Matt Riddle is damn talented, and the biggest the issue is now is that we understand that, and this goes to the point of all of these matches at Mania, right? We understand that most people don't watch NXT, so they don't see these new stars coming up and making a name for themselves in NXT, right? We understand now that because of NXT, as soon as they hit the main roster, their presence seems to just fade away into the background, right? They don't produce much. Dare I say Andrade and Aleister Black and the Ascension. Everyone else is and by the way, just as a side note, the Ascension and NXT were incredible.
Yeah, I remember that.
They were the next that was the next big tag team. But anyway, regardless, but as soon as you get them up to the roster and you're bringing them up to the roster, why must we water their character down? Their characters are and this is what I don't understand about the Performance Center in this respect, in the character aspect, is that they had honed Riddle's character to the point where he was just about perfect, right? I mean, not everything, but take that character, mold him, and don't make him adapt to Raw or adapt to the main roster. Make the roster kind of move around these new guys in the respect of like, we don't want to keep the train rolling the same way it's been rolling, because the longevity of these wrestlers aren't as long as they used to be anymore. So we can't have a Bruno Sammartino holding the belt for like 6 years. We can't have Hulk Hogan holding the belt for 4 and 5. We can't do that anymore. That's not, the business is not like that. The way these guys wrestle, the way these guys put their bodies on the line, and we can have that discussion later. But the younger talents are on a completely different level when it comes to how they wrestle now, right? And everybody's trying to work the WWE way, right? And I understand that, because I'll be honest with you, the WWE way is a lot better than a lot of other promotions out there, in my opinion.
They protect you.
They protect
the
you,
wrestlers,
right?
Yes.
They protect the wrestlers.
For longevity.
For
They want you to
longevity,
live.
right? Right.
It's just,
and the fact, And the fact of the matter is that with a guy like Riddle, he is so young in the business. This guy's not even in his prime yet, and he's on the WrestleMania card, right? And someone like him or Bianca Belair, they did everything right with Bianca. It just seemed that seemed to. It almost seemed like that was perfect. Everything else seemed to just fall off the end of a pier somewhere. But Riddle, like you said, I think ultimately Riddle. Riddle losing or winning in this match, for me at least, didn't seem like it's going to affect him either way. I think the advent of him becoming a heel is probably a better fit for him. I think he'll be taken more seriously. I think he should, and this is where I think that he should be. Dare I say it? I think this is the guy that should be the Pete Dunne on the main roster. He should be breaking bones.
Hell
you know what I
yeah.
mean?
That's the king of the bros.
That's who Matt Riddle should be. Matt Riddle should be the guy who's push him as the MMA fighter, push him as the guy who can put a hurt on you. Even with his size, he can do that. He can manipulate you because he has that training, right? Because that's how you built him up to be. Now he's just a clown. And so him losing the title doesn't mean anything for me. And Sheamus having it doesn't do anything for him either.
Yes.
So, ultimately, this match was a wash for me. It was a good match. I'm with you 100% on that. But I don't think it does anything for either guy. I don't think it makes or breaks either one of them. This was just a match that was put on the card. Right. Just to fill space, in my opinion. And no disrespect to those guys because they worked their butts off and they did a good match. I just don't think it does anything moving forward as far as their characters go or whatever arcs of angles they're going to put together.
I think sorry guys. I think Sheamus is a transitional champ. He might just lose it to somebody tomorrow night. Maybe you're returning Keith Lee. You never know,
Keith Lee, talk about a guy who's been lost in the shuffle. But anyway,
put the belt on him.
Yeah,
there's a lot of guys lost in the shuffle.
Do something with him, man.
Speaking of Keith Lee,
something with him.
There's Keith Lee.
Nice. Now we are moving along. The United States Championship was on the line between Riddle and Sheamus. Sheamus was the victor, and we move from that match onto what match, Mitch?
The Intercontinental Championship in the Punjabi African Nigerian drum match. Whatever.
First of all, it's a Punjabi drum match. No, it's a Nigerian drum match.
Yeah.
Stop it.
No, I
was wondering on this name.
It's a Nigerian drum match.
Oh boy.
It is Apollo Cruz versus Big E. Wait, before I start, when you have a match that you don't hit anybody with a drum, that is a big fail.
Yes.
Right there.
Yes, thank you. I thought someone was going to at least get their head put on the drum and bang it like a tonga.
Now, if I may, this is the one I want to start on this one because this is the one that really it actually ticked me off. It did. Number one,
did it grind your gears?
It did, and let me tell you why. Number one, you built up the Nigerian drum match, and it meant nothing. It meant nothing. Okay, we had steel steps were used, a Nigerian kendo stick, a Nigerian table, Nigerian steel steps. Nigerian? Like I said, what? It just none of this.
The wood came from Nigeria, man.
It made no sense. Like none of this made sense, and I wasn't impressed by the brutality of the match. If that makes sense. I was upset about the fact that you would put on your card an intercontinental match, which, to be fair, in the promo package, they put over the intercontinental title and how it meant something, which was kind of interesting. But after watching this match, it almost feels like it doesn't mean anything. And this is one of the issues that I have with this rivalry or whatever you want to call it, whatever this feud is going on. Number one, I think Apollo Cruz's character is garbage. I think the Nigerian warrior thing doesn't work for him. Not that the original Apollo Cruz thing worked for him either, but the fact that he is reclaiming his Nigerian heritage, and then ironically, kind of like reforming some accent that he had. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. This wasn't the case where, you know, what's his face? Kofi was outed by his mom not being from Jamaica, right? But he was, he's from Ghana. Okay, if this was just Apollo Crews reclaiming his Nigerian heritage, right, and making that statement and being more brutal and violent, I get that. There was no need to go into this whole thing about him changing his accent and there was no time to put together a match where the Nigerian drum match meant anything. There was no explanation for it. What is a Nigerian drum match? What does that mean for the people? Give them time to digest what you're giving us. You know, give us something. And then, you know, these, and to be fair to both of these guys, they put their bodies on the line. They did a pretty decent match. I mean, holy crap! When Apollo Creed hit freaking Big E with that kendo stick, disintegrated.
Apollo
Crews. Excuse me, Apollo Crews. Yeah. When Apollo Crews hit Big E with the kendo stick and that kendo stick disintegrated, that was pretty incredible. I'm not gonna lie. When they slammed him on the steps, that was pretty awesome. You know what I mean? And by the way, just because I didn't mention it the last couple of segments, and I want to recognize great work tonight. Just as a quick side note, when Sami Zayn suplexed Kevin Owens on the apron, that was crazy. Just as a little side note, and that was nuts, and I was freaking out. But anyway, the work was good, and then all of a sudden, after all this talk that we had, that Apollo Crews had, it made it when all of a sudden we see this guy in what was it, white pants or beige pants, and this uniform, which I'm assuming is a military Nigerian uniform, is what I'm guessing.
Nigerian Army uniform, sir. Nigerian Army.
Right. Okay. Fine. That's a military uniform. Great. Got it. Number one, we all know that was the gentleman from Raw Underground, Dabba-Kato. We get that. I actually thought that was probably the most believable thing in this match. You know what I mean? That made more sense to me than the actual match itself, right? So, and for me, the biggest issue with this, and what really ticked me off, was the fact we were never privy as an audience to what this meant to Apollo Crews, or what this meant to Big E, right? Because and maybe this is kind of speculation in my estimation, but Big E is also of African descent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why not have Big E? Shut up.
Is he?
Why not have Big E be more serious about the drum match? Why not? If you're going for this, right? Maybe have him at least assume that he knows what he's talking about. Like Big E has some idea of what the consequences are of this. But the fact is that the drums were a set dressing, never used, didn't make any sense. There was nothing. I can't even believe I'm saying this. The Punjabi prison match made more sense than this.
Oh God, no!
Way more sense than this. So by the time the 3 count was made, I just didn't care. I was ticked off as a fan, and I didn't think that whatever storyline they were building came to a complete halt. And now, by the way, Big E's big single run, losing the Intercontinental title, I guess is kind of in limbo now. I mean, unless Big E, if they're going to move him up the card and he's going to go against the Universal champ, right? Or excuse me, he's on SmackDown, isn't he? Unless he goes up against the SmackDown champion, who is Roman Reigns,
the Universal Champion. Yep.
Yeah.
He's the that's correct. So, and I don't see Big E going up against Roman Reigns anytime soon. But
No.
I don't know what happens to Big E now. I don't know. But anyway, that was my thoughts about it. I didn't dig it. Angie, what do you think?
I didn't like the fact that no drums were harmed. Like there was no I didn't like that no drums were harmed. I thought that was a waste because then we got so excited for the drums to come into play and they barely did. It felt kind of like, oh well, we're just gonna have drums around here. Maybe somebody might, drum on something, but who knows? It never really felt significant to the match, like how you said. I love both Apollo Crews and Big E so much. Like I've said many, many times in my life, any man that can do a gorilla press into a standing moonsault deserves our respect, and that's Apollo Crews, baby.
100%. I agree with you on that. Absolutely.
I think his character right now is kind of weird, but at the same time, I'm just like, I understand they're kind of just throwing a whole bunch of stuff at him to see what sticks because he's gone through so many different iterations. Yeah. And nothing's really stuck with him. Nothing's really taken him to that next level that we've been talking about. Nothing's really resonated. And I hope that maybe they put more thought into this so that it can work, especially now that he is Intercontinental Champion. And that in itself also is a title I really like. I like the lineage of the Intercontinental Championship.
Me too, 100%. I completely agree with you. And I tell you what, the Intercontinental title is not treated with the respect that it should be treated with. And the only person that I know that talks about that on the roster is The Miz. And I have ultimate respect for The Miz because of that. I have ultimate respect for the Intercontinental title and its lineage. But I also believe you're right, Angie. Apollo Crews, and forgive me for the comparison, he's going the way of Jason Jordan. Like nothing is sticking with this guy.
Hey, I loved Jason Jordan. Okay, Jason Jordan's Day. That's still my favorite crowd sign I've ever seen in my life.
But you're right. There's nothing sticking to this. It's like we're giving him something, and it's just not getting over. Like, and Apollo Crews is super talented. So what do we got to do with this guy? So I agree with you on that 100%. Mitch, what about you? What do you think?
I think WWE did this ass backwards. This should have happened a month ago at Fastlane, where Dabba-Kato should have came out and interfered, and Apollo should have won the match, the Intercontinental title, and have Big E for the next 4 or 5 weeks chasing Apollo Crews and having him go over at WrestleMania would have made a lot more sense.
Agreed.
Right now,
I agree.
I mean, you guys push Big E to the moon and then you have him lose at Mania. That makes no sense at all.
Right.
So now 100%. you have an E chase Apollo for the next 3 months.
Yeah, because he's going to want vengeance, right? And that's going to be the story. Right. He's going to want revenge. But what does that do for him? Nothing.
True. But now you know he's going to have to go through Dabba-Kato for weeks to the next pay-per-view, and then he gets Apollo Crews. Yeah. I mean, that doesn't make sense. You want him to be the next big guy, and you want him to go up against Roman Reigns? I mean, Roman Reigns is leagues and bounds.
Oh, yeah.
Ahead of Big E right now. Dude. We're going to get into that a little later. But this match, I mean, I thought Big E was going to win. He hit the big ending, 1, 2, 3, but, they threw the swerve there. I mean, it depends on how long Apollo holds the title and see what he does with the title. Does he treat it like how you said, with respect and dignity, or just another title, But anyway, this match was decent. I'm okay with it. I can say that this match, the previous match with Sheamus and Riddle, was better than this match. You know what I would want for
for it to work, and what would work with me is if you're going to have Apollo Crews hold this title, I think Apollo Crews should be supremely disrespectful of the title. It means nothing to him. He's from Nigeria. He's holding an intercontinental title that stands for something from the United States. Get a little old school with it. You know what I mean? Like, listen, he should hold the belt up on SmackDown and go, you know what? This doesn't mean anything to me. I just wanted to get back at Big E and make it like this wasn't even about the belt. And people will be like, whoa, guy, what are you talking about? You know, and at least somebody could come out and talk about the lineage of the belt or whatever. And then we got to get this belt off of this guy because this guy's a jerk. And I think that would make more sense considering the fact where he is in his character, right? That I think would make more sense. But anyway, Jay, what do you think?
I want my money back.
Yeah.
I want my money back from that match because for one thing, Nigerian drum match, I was expecting Nigerian drums. I think those drums came from Florida.
Guitar Center?
Guitars, yeah, it was from Guitar Center. They used a gong. Isn't gongs from China?
I think so. I think gongs
sticks are from Japan, unless they're Nigerian bamboo. I don't know.
The finest Nigerian bamboo, by the way.
The finest, exactly. And the table, is it fine Nigerian wood?
Yeah.
Imported from Nigeria, I'm sure.
Fine.
And the steel, the steel of the tables, were they fine steel from Nigeria?
Yeah, fine steel of those steps. Oh yeah.
This is what they should have done to this match. Okay, what they should have done was have a bunch of people drumming, doing their thing right as the match is going, because it looks like a ceremonial, like exactly.
That would have been great.
That's how you do it. Okay, I don't know about anything about Nigeria or no drum matches or whatever, but that would have made it. Like, they've been drumming and people would have been getting into it, right? Okay. Let's see what else.
Would you have run the risk though? I think you're right, JJ, but would you have run the risk of being disrespectful to the culture? I mean, on a big platform like this, would you have run the risk of that? Like, if they made it supremely ceremonial, like that this drum fight was a real thing, and they made it ceremonial, and he didn't come down to his normal music. He came down to like some ceremonial music, and the guys came around and they were drumming around him and things like that.
Yes.
Would that have been? Would they have run the risk of being disrespectful to the culture? Maybe, I don't know. That's why they didn't do it.
No, well, they could have done more research. They could have done more research and asked permission of the Nigerian consulate in the United States to say, hey, we want to do this thing. We want to make sure we get it right.
Sure.
But also, it's a professional wrestling match, but we also want to honor all the cultures and things of Nigeria. Okay.
Sure.
But what would have made it funny is if they took a page out of Ace Ventura when Nature Calls, when they're fighting and then someone throws a spear and then hits Big E in the leg. He's like, ah! and then another spear. Ah!
That would have been awful. That would have been awful.
It's in the bone.
That would have been awful.
That would have been awful. But imagine that, like, being African-esque. It's not Wakanda forever. It's Nigeria forever. So, but the match itself, if you took away all of that, took away the drums, took away the candlesticks, took away the pineapples, the avocados or whatever. You took all that away, and had a straight up freaking brawl. Oh, yes. I would have been down with that.
I think I would have been more on board with that. But I would have been more on board with that.
But what they should have done was made it an unsanctioned freaking intercontinental match. Okay,
right? Like they did with O'Reilly and Cole.
Yeah, because
on NXT.
I mean, look at the stuff leading up to it. I mean, it was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Apollo Crews sent him to the hospital, for crying out loud.
Yeah, I agree.
And
for
2 weeks he was gone. So it's like, you know what? We want to make this like as they should have made it as brutal as possible, and tell a story where they can fight anywhere in the, maybe not anywhere in the arena because of COVID, but like just within certain confounds of the arena.
Sure.
Where they can do their thing, and they could have done it that way. That's how they should have booked it, and I would have been more invested into that match. Dabba Kato coming in, Yabba Dabba Doo now. Yeah, W. That's my boy from Raw Underground. Him coming out, I think that it made sense ish. You know.
It did.
I mean, and I don't know what they're gonna try to do with it. I think they may build a faction. I don't know. They don't have any factions besides the head of the table. You know. So and the thing is like I don't know. I mean like I think the whole chief thing, Nigerian thing. Of course he got that idea from Paul Heyman.
I'm pretty sure that I'm sure
know.
that there was inklings of that for sure. I agree.
Of course, but overall the match would have been better if they took away all the other elements around it, and but I feel bad for both of them of how the whole thing that they had to sell that match as a Nigerian drum fight or whatever it is.
Right.
I feel bad
right.
I feel super bad for them because they're both talented. They're both awesome athletes. But again, they should have been booked a little bit better. But hopefully, the next pay-per-view or the next whatever it is they're going to try to do that, they could try make it right. But we'll see.
I hope so.
I don't know.
I hope so. Kai, last but not least, real quick, what do you think?
Yeah, it would have been fine if this was just a no-holds-bar match or anything. Because if you're going to call it something like a Nigerian drum match, you got to at least put a little bit of effort into it. Like, at least put someone's head on the drum and just bang them against it repeatedly. Yeah. Or put their head through the drum and then bash it with a kendo stick. Like something. You're gonna call it something like that. I get they used the gong, but is a gong something related to Nigeria? I don't think so. And look, I love Big E, but I don't think it's time for him to go up against anyone bigger than anyone intercontinental level. And I honestly think he needs to at least do one more year of doing something else to get him to there. Because I keep seeing him only as the goofy member of the New Day, which I love the New Day. The New Day has been a great tag team, but if you're going to make Big E go up against for a main title run, he needs to separate himself a little bit farther from the group.
It makes sense.
Have some more viciousness into him.
I know you're right. You're right.
Yep. Go back to Big E Langston.
Yeah. Show him that strength show him that strength you used to have. Like what made you this scary dude when you came in. And as for Apollo, I don't know. At this point, Apollo, he might as well just be let go. I feel like there's no real anything for him. Anytime they give him something, it feels like they don't let it stick on to him long enough, or they just not thinking of very, very good things to do it. Like I don't know what to do for Apollo. Like maybe have him be like what you said, being disrespectful with the belt we made for a while. Something that will give him something like a little bit over. Credit.
Yeah,
but bringing whoever that guy is, because I haven't been watching enough wrestling, and you guys, whoever this giant fool is, because I looked at him and was like, is that Kali? What the hell's going on?
It's Dabba-Kato, Raw Underground, which lasted 3 weeks, whatever.
Oh, you mean Kali's son?
Yeah. What bothers me the most is that the fact that you sell a match and then you overpromise and then underdeliver. I'd rather you underdeliver, or excuse me, I'd like to kind of underpromise and overdeliver. That's how you should work it. I mean, that's like me announcing a Japanese strap match. What the hell does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. It means nothing. We're gonna have a Japanese strap match. Like, okay, cool. Is Japanese strap different than a regular strap? So there was nothing different that set it apart. And they were trying to set it apart, and just putting window dressing up for the match meant nothing for the match. And because of that, that's my biggest disappointment with that match, and not necessarily the guys themselves, but unfortunately they were put in a position where, once again, you write yourself into a box and you got nothing. So anyway, Mitch, next match on the card.
So we're gonna skip over to Hall of Fame, right?
Hall of Fame we can skip over. What'd you like?
Best waves ever. Best waves ever.
Well, yeah.
Next match.
Best waves ever.
Raw Women's Championship, Ripley versus Asuka.
Rhea Ripley versus Asuka. I tell you what, in my estimation, the build for this was decent. I think the build could have been better, but overall, it was a decent build. And the interactions between Asuka and Rhea Ripley were good. And also, if you think about it, if you're a wrestling fan, the comparisons between where Asuka is and where Ripley, where Asuka was and where Ripley is almost the same. I mean, in some respects, they're almost the same. So Angie, Raw Women's title on the line. Asuka, Rhea Ripley, very similar when it comes to their stories as far as moving up from NXT to the main card. Rhea Ripley, of course, WrestleMania last year with Charlotte Flair. Because of COVID, unfortunately, that really didn't mean much for her. So now we've got her going up against Asuka because Charlotte Flair was booked out of WrestleMania 37. So by mistake, by the way, but we can get into that later. So what did you think? What did you think of the build? What did you think of the match in and of itself? Did they tell the good story? Was it there? Did they make the Raw Women's Championship worth something?
Okay. I just want to give a disclaimer. I love Rhea Ripley. I love Asuka. I'm happy. I would be happy-ish for either of them winning. But to me, there was no question going in as to who was going to win.
Right.
And for me, that killed a lot of the story for me. And I keep saying for me, but it made it anticlimactic. I had no qualms. I had no doubts as to who was gonna walk out of WrestleMania with the Raw Women's Championship. I have a lot of feelings about this match that I can't articulate very well, and it's so disappointing to me that Asuka yet again loses at Mania.
Yeah.
And it sucks, especially because, to me, both of these women, Rhea Ripley and Asuka, have been done dirty by Charlotte at WrestleMania.
Amen.
WWE, I feel, has kind of owed both of them a WrestleMania moment. Now, especially when they said Rhea Ripley's going to be played in, right? She's going to have her entrance music performed live. That itself was already kind of a dead giveaway, even though Big E got played in and lost. It just
by
seemed
Wale.
very...
Yeah.
It just seemed very predictable. And it hurt me because I feel like they so often depend on Asuka when other plans don't follow through the way they want. She's always the sort of the dependable champ. She's always someone... Yeah, she's the team player. She's the one that you can put a title on and it's believable. It makes sense. People will be happy with it. People will, it'll be understandable. And she's a good champion to beat to make somebody else. I get that. I do. But because of that, I feel like she has never really had her big triumphant moment. Money in the Bank kind of, especially after the whole Becky Lynch was like, oh, actually, you weren't fighting for a contract for the championship. You got the championship. But even that wasn't that big of a reveal because, of course, it was more about Becky Lynch being pregnant. I've no offense to Becky Lynch and her choice to do that or their choice to book it that way. But nobody left that being like, oh, my God, yeah, Asuka's champ. Everyone was like, oh, man, Becky's pregnant.
That's right.
I feel like a lot of moments that Asuka's had have been undercut by other things or other people. And this just felt like another kind of dig. I like Rhea Ripley again. I am glad because she got done dirty by Charlotte last year. But, you know, the build was okay. The build could have been better. I guess it makes sense because there's nobody else really built for Asuka right now on the Raw Women's division. Nobody else could believably go up against her with how the rest of the Raw Women's division is or has been booked. It would take at least a couple more months for anybody else that's in that division to be ready for Asuka. So Rhea Ripley made the most sense. Unfortunately, it hurts me as a big fan of Asuka, but I can't say I'm surprised. And I don't know, at least maybe there'll be better booking around the Raw Women's Championship moving forward. It sucks because Asuka's championship reign has been overshadowed a lot. She's ends up getting overshadowed frequently, and it makes me sad because, you know, she got overshadowed because she was chasing the tag titles with Charlotte, and it became more about Charlotte and all of her drama. So I don't know. It stings to think about because on one hand, Asuka has had a lot of decent opportunities, but whenever it seems like she's being built back up to be that unstoppable juggernaut that she was coming from NXT, whenever she starts to gain that momentum, something undercuts it or something distracts from it, or they make it feel less important than another storyline. And I feel like that's a huge disservice to her and to the women's division as a whole, because now you're kind of cutting off the whole division at its legs if you're not paying the proper respect to the champion of the division.
Agreed. 100%. You know, what's interesting is that I feel, and this is, and maybe you guys know where I'm coming from with this, because Angie, you are right in the fact of it feels like Asuka is like Chris Jericho in the 90s and in the early 2000s. And I mean that by, remember, Chris Jericho was like, oh, you know what? The Rock's not here. Or, you know, Stone Cold moved off. Or Triple H, well, now we only got who else is on the card? Oh, well, who can we put in the main event? Oh, well, Triple H is here and Jericho's here. So let's get him up there, you know, and we can put the belt on him and it'll get over, right? And it she feels like the Chris Jericho of the women's division in the fact that it always seemed like to me when Chris Jericho was always on that champion, whenever he's in the championship picture, he was always the afterthought. You know what I mean? I know he was the undisputed champion. We all understand that. But if you think about his career in WWE, especially when Rock and Stone Cold were on top, and he was always the afterthought. It was Rock, it was Stone Cold, and it was Triple H and Undertaker, right? That was it. And then if Shawn Michaels really wasn't wrestling at the time, but then it was like, oh well, you know what? Undertaker's not going to be wrestling for a year. Triple H is injured. What are we going to do? How are we going to work this in? Well, put Chris Jericho in there. You know, Chris is great. He'll make something up. He'll do it. You know, he's a team player, and Chris did, and that's what he was. And I don't think, and in that early time, he was always like the third wheel, which is unfortunate for him. But I feel Asuka's getting the same raw deal, no pun intended, in the fact that she is an incredible talent. I don't think she never gets the credit she deserves on the main roster. I feel like when they build her, they never build her enough to be a formidable opponent. They always portray her as being the crazy Japanese kabuki lady. You know what I mean? Like, I say that in the respect of, like, you know, with the face paint she has now, and you know, and the way she talks, you know what I mean? And the shades of like she's like this ghost. Like, it makes no sense. Make her formidable. Make her an opponent. She's a strong female wrestler, number one, and number two, when you watch Ripley and Asuka go back and forth for this feud before this match, the only thing, everything was going Ripley's way, right? the only thing that Asuka has when it comes to this, I don't know if it's because her vocabulary is limited or whatever, but no one is ready for Asuka. That's always the case, right? There's nothing else to build upon. So if you're not, and this is where I think it would be a good idea to do what you did with Kali. If her first language is not English, right? And if you think that it's a detriment for her to speak on the mic, okay, then get somebody who will be the interpreter for her, or just let her cut all her promos in Japanese. Just do that. It's okay. Let her be a formidable opponent. You don't have to turn her into anything. And so be the Asuka that was in NXT. What was wrong with that? I don't understand why she had to change and change so much and metamorphosize into what she is now. Like it didn't have to happen that way. And like you said, it's a real slap in the face to Asuka, considering, as soon as she hit the main roster, we were all stoked, but in the back of our minds, we already knew that she wasn't going to get the run that she's supposed to get. And that's exactly what happened. And once again, no disrespect to Rhea Ripley, because she's earned it. Asuka is back, and now she's there. We've got nothing for her. And by the way, just so I've been talking so much, my review is I think it was a decent match. Unfortunately, that match doesn't even come close to what the SmackDown Women's Championship match was on night one. Doesn't even come close at all. Those girls, the girls on night one put on a show. These girls did everything that they could, and like you said, everything was based around Rhea Ripley and her brutality. And and maybe I don't know if you guys feel how I feel about this. It didn't feel like Asuka had the same opportunity to get her offense off. I mean, am I losing my mind? You know what I mean? Because every time it was, but it was Rhea Ripley on top of Asuka. You know what I mean? Smacking her around. It was Rhea Ripley on top of Asuka, giving her blows to the face. I don't know if Asuka had that opportunity to show that she's just as tough and she's just a formidable opponent as Rhea Ripley is. So I wasn't disappointed in the match. I wanted it to be more than what it was. And yeah, I was kind of just cold to the whole thing. But anyway, Mitch, what did you think? Tell us where we're all wrong.
I have to agree again with everybody here. Asuka does not get the run she deserves. I think Rhea Ripley was rushed. I think they were gonna debut her after WrestleMania. You can tell that if it wasn't Rhea Ripley, I think Asuka would have lost to Charlotte again at WrestleMania.
Really? Because I thought what was building was Charlotte. I thought what was building was Charlotte versus Lacey before Lacey got pregnant.
Well,
no?
Pregnant. Charlotte got COVID. Remember Charlotte?
Oh, that's right. That's why COVID. Charlotte had COVID. Or yes. There was a speculation that she had COVID. So she was off the card. Got it.
Take a vacation with Andrade until he got released or whatever,
Wasn't there something wasn't there something that said that there was a test that came back that she was pregnant and she wasn't? Isn't that the case too? That's why she was off the card?
I think Andrade had mentioned that in a shoot interview.
Yeah, right. Andrade had mentioned that in an interview. So I mean that would have possibly got her off the card too. So anyway, sorry, Mitch, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
It's just Asuka is reminding me of a modern day Bull Nakano. Always spot, but never over the top. She was a belt carrier. She was just like McIntyre. She carried the belt through the pandemic, and then it feels like WWE doesn't know what to do with her. They don't know at all, because if
WWE wasn't ready for Asuka.
Yes, 100%
exactly.
Right.
If they make her NXT Asuka, she would kick the ass of 96% of all women on that roster. I mean, it's
Right.
just you can't make her NXT Asuka. That doesn't work in the mainstream, and that is why I'm really worried about these new NXT guys coming up, especially Adam Cole.
Ugh.
That is the one worry I have because of what's going on with all the NXT, most of the NXT guys on the main roster now. That's my biggest worry. But that's for another day, another podcast. Nah, it was all right. It will not trump the main event from day one, the SmackDown Women's Championship. It was what it was.
Yeah. It just for some reason, and this goes, and I'll get to JJ here in a second, but for some reason, it seems like SmackDown in most respects is kind of hitting on most of the cylinders, and Raw is kind of petering out, which is just weird. It used to be the exact opposite, and now it just seems like all the Raw superstars are just blah, and all the SmackDown superstars, not all of them, but the majority of them, everybody seems to be hitting their mark. Everybody seems to be getting over, and it's weird. I don't know. Anyway, JJ, what do you think?
What do I think? Okay, so this match I thought was like, so it's the blockbuster movie that I didn't know about. Okay, that I had no clue that it was gonna happen, so I had to tell my friend, ask my friends, hey, did you know that this match is gonna happen? No, oh, we gotta go check it out because of who's on the card, right? So that's how I felt. Sticking with the match in general, sticking what's in the ring. I thought the match itself, I mean, the build was decent for what it was, and I know they had to. I felt that WWE had to do what's right for Rhea Ripley, because of what happened last year at Mania.
Right. Right.
She lost to Charlotte. Why? I don't know. But remember now, she also mentioned about that match with Lillian Garcia on her podcast, Chasing Glory, about like she shoot her shot, saying like, yeah, I felt like it kind of killed my momentum, blah blah blah, and I was just kind of there, and then her moving to the main roster to, it was supposed to be after, right? That was the plan. It was supposed to be after Mania.
Right.
I think the timing was I thought was okay going into it. I thought that the match was brutal. This is her brutality, and she did the brutality in the ring with Asuka. It was a lot of striking though, and it was a lot of, and I don't know if you guys, they said, oh, there's the first time that they met. No, they met before.
Mm-hmm.
They met before in Japan. Remember now, the Australians, and I'm talking about Australians, Tony Storm, Rhea Ripley, they fought in Stardom. Yes, Mitch.
They're talking about WWE Universe, bro. Not wherever in the world. WWE.
They don't acknowledge Stardom.
Hold on.
Well,
but anyway,
to be fair, go ahead.
But here's the thing: like, they're again trying to bring that to this stage, right?
Right.
And they did the best that they could, for what it's worth. They went ahead and gave a knockdown drag-out fight. It wasn't as big as the SmackDown Women's Title match by any means. I mean,
right.
SmackDown title match was here. That Raw one was here. Okay, in my opinion, in my honest, humble, my conceited opinion. Okay, it could be even like this, or even lower. I don't give a damn. But anyway, it's one of those things.
Yeah, for sure.
But for Rhea Ripley to have the belt, it made somewhat sense. Asuka losing, that sucks for her, But moving forward, so let's talk about moving forward now. Yes, I think Asuka needs a mouthpiece, and that mouthpiece could be Sonny Ono. I don't know. It could be Sho Funaki for all I care. Okay.
Yeah.
Funaki doesn't. He's not wrestling right now. He's not. He could be Raw's #1 manager. That would be cool. I would book that. But we'll see what Rhea Ripley can do with the belt. I mean, she's done wonders with the 2 NXT titles that she had. I thought so. I mean, I think her NXT, her United States NXT run was a little short, but still made an impact. I think so.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. I mean, being the rough chick from Adelaide, Australia, we'll see what happens. Moving forward. We'll see what happens.
She is. Rhea Ripley has something. She has it. And I mean, she has it, and we're not denying Rhea Ripley any of her comeuppance or any of her dues. She's done them all.
She has it, and she wants it, and she will get it. Okay,
right,
that's guaranteed. What they should do with Asuka moving forward. Okay, she doesn't have the belt. Give her something to do. Right, the one person that has always went up against her at house shows at NXT, but would always lose, even on Raw, was Peyton Royce. Royce would always lose to her. And this could be something where they could build something where Peyton Royce could finally beat Asuka. I don't know. That's moving forward. But anyway,
I think that's a very interesting idea, because you could get tomorrow night. You could have, she's on SmackDown, isn't she? Peyton Royce, she's on SmackDown, right?
She's on Raw. She's on Raw.
So you could have Peyton Royce be the new face going after Asuka tomorrow night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The
grind.
Right.
Exactly.
So
it's like, you don't have the title. Yeah, she can be like, Asuka, you don't have the title, but I want to beat you. My goal is to beat you.
Right.
And that's your mid card storyline. But be a mid card storyline with a top talent to carry somebody else.
Right.
And Peyton Royce needs that. I think so.
She does, and the thing is that at this point, to be honest, Asuka losing to Peyton Royce wouldn't hurt Asuka.
No.
I mean, in my opinion, I don't think it would hurt Asuka. I think it would elevate Peyton Royce. Even if Peyton Royce loses to Asuka, Peyton Royce, it would do more. It would do wonders for Peyton Royce too.
Again,
if she actually does a legitimate, straight up match, that would make sense. But that's speculation. But Kai, did you comment on this? Did you like this match?
Again, I have the same opinion as mostly everyone in this group. I wish Asuka could have gotten a little bit more. Again, we aren't going to see NXT Asuka. They're never going to pull the trigger on that.
No.
And honestly, I think there might be just too much bloat. Maybe it's time for trim the fat a little bit. Maybe there's just too many wrestlers in there. Because I feel like we're not getting enough to see for everyone. And my take on Charlotte is that, she's too much of the main focus most of the time. Even when she's out of the picture, it seems like it's always seems around about Charlotte.
That's true.
Yeah. I honestly, this match I could have cared less.
Wow. Well, listen, we are coming to the main event, aren't we? Is this it? Is there one more, or this is it? This is the main event.
We can talk about what happened in between these two matches with Bailey, if you want.
Ding dong, hello.
Let me tell you something. I'm going to leave that for everybody to watch, because what happened with Bailey, for me at least, for the last two nights was gold. I thought Bailey was great, and you know what? Maybe we should talk about it when she came out and interrupted the Hulk and Titus again. I thought that was great. I thought that was she really knows how to sell it. This ding dong hello thing. I don't know why I like it so much. She's not as dark as she used to be. She's a little more goofy now, but for some reason it works for her. And and then when the Bella Twins come out to try and save Hulk and Titus, I thought was super cute. And then Bailey taking that shot at Nikki with John Cena's not here tonight was freaking golden. It was golden. It was so
bam.
It was so good. And then I love my favorite line in that one, because it reminded me so much of Chris Jericho when she called them twin idiots. That was good.
That was great.
That was so good. So props to Bailey. She did, even though she wasn't booked on the card, I'm glad they made her part of it. I love the fact that she has this running rivalry with stupid Michael Cole, which is so funny.
I want more Bailey of her doing her show on SmackDown.
Yeah.
More guests, her just jabbing at Michael Cole and him just taking it, and Corey Graves like, haha, good for you.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to see that. Like that's the entertainment side.
I agree. I agree with you 100%.
And Bailey is she's a pure wrestling fan, but she also understands the entertainment side. So if she knows, this is my role, I'm gonna run with it, and I'm gonna make it the best entertainment portion on SmackDown if I could ever do it, and I will do it. And I think that she will do it.
She was the most entertaining thing on the vignettes on both nights of WrestleMania.
Yeah, the next thing, what's second to that? What's second to that?
What's that?
Seeing Titus and Hulk Hogan dressed up as pirates.
That was hilarious. I was not expecting that at
what the
all.
hell?
I was not expecting them to be dressed as pirates at all. That was so weird.
But you know what? You know why they did that? I think I know why they had Titus and Hulk Hogan dressed up as pirates. Because you know why? They're gonna make action figures out of those too. I want them.
They could. And
I want them.
Totally could. They totally could.
I want a Hulk Hogan action figure of him dressed up as a pirate.
Nice. I'm guessing that Hulk Hogan would be Yellowbeard. I'm guessing the pirate Yellowbeard.
No, Brother Beard. Brother Beard.
I like it. Brother Beard. All right. We're gonna end the show on the main event of night 2 of WrestleMania. It was the Universal Championship match between Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan, and Edge.
Look at that.
Now, I'm gonna start off, and then you guys can kind of riff off of me. In my opinion, just to get it out in the open, this was the best match on the card for tonight, I think, period. They told a good story. What's so funny, I was so nervous about Daniel Bryan inserting himself into this program, but it worked. Ultimately, it really did work with Daniel Bryan. I really think that I really think that Roman Reigns is on quite a streak as far as him being he's pretty much over, right? We know that this guy is over, right? I think that I almost think that he should start tearing up even more people. So I think that ultimately, I think that this is an opportunity for him to even be more. This is confirmation that Roman Reigns' character should be even more brutal, more violent, more anybody who gets in his face. I mean, in the back or whatever the case may be. That's how I think it should work. I think that ultimately, I gotta say that because of Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman is the reason why this match went over the way it did. Everything leading up to this match in the last few weeks, and with Paul Heyman's intellect in the wrestling business, really put this match over. And this is why I think this is why wrestling should get out of the faction business and get back into the stable business. Okay. Get out of the factions and make stables. Bobby the Brain Heenan had a stable of guys that he worked with. Paul Heyman, I don't know why it stopped, but he could have a stable of guys that work with him, and he brings them up. He could have another Dangerous Alliance. But ultimately, that's for another show. But I think that we should get rid of factions and bring back stables, because because you have a coach is what leads you to the championship, and that is exactly what Paul Heyman is doing, because everything that Paul Heyman touches has turned to gold. When it comes to Roman Reigns, the promo that he cut on Edge the other night, man, that was incredible.
Wow.
I mean, for him to do that, and I mean, this, it's funny how Heyman is doing more for the storyline than even the guys themselves. And I mean, and that's no disrespect to Daniel Bryan or Roman or Edge, because and this was the other thing that I found fascinating about this match is that all three of those guys played off each other really well. I'm going to say once again, Edge looks spectacular. Goodness. That guy, I swear to God, that guy has not lost a step. Edge is just an incredible athlete. And I really, really dig him quite a bit. You know, and it's interesting that I was almost upset at the finish, but then I realized something that, you know, everybody in that ring has had their moment, right? Everybody's had the WrestleMania moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I figured that they were going to go with Edge getting the championship tonight. And if not beating Roman, at least pinning Daniel.
Bryan.
Right. So I thought, okay, well, that would be the ultimate screw job. And then what would happen is that Roman would be so pissed that Daniel Bryan inserted himself into this match and it lost it for him, that Daniel Bryan would be the first on the hit list and then go after Edge. And we could lead into, we possibly could lead into that. But they did something that we're just complaining about. The story is done.
Mm-hmm.
It's rounded out. We can start fresh now with these guys. This in my opinion, it seemed like to me a blow off. This was the blow off match, and this is it. And we're going in another direction when it comes to Roman Reigns. He's going to find another opponent or whatever. That's awesome, because we were complaining about how storylines keep existing even after Mania. This one seems to end. This is it. And you know, I almost feel like that this match should have been a clean win for Roman. I don't think that Jay should have inserted himself, but I know that doesn't go to the heel aspect of it.
Well, he's
but
main event, Jay Uso, so he's in the main event.
He's the right hand man.
So
I just feel like it would have been if he had cleanly beat those guys, then that would have been great. I will say Edge was completely on point. So was Daniel Bryan. Everybody hit everything. It was practically flawless. The concertos at the climax of the match were pretty incredible. Very suspense or suspense inducing. We're ready to know, like, oh my gosh, he's gonna do it. This is it. He's gonna do it, and we're gonna see the end of Roman and Daniel Bryan, and that's it. And so these guys did really well together. I was worried about this match because it wasn't going to be a one-on-one with Roman and gosh dang it, Roman and Edge. But the fact is that Daniel Bryan brought something to this match without taking away from it. Triple threat matches can sometimes be a huge cluster, and this wasn't. It worked well. They told their story, and if everything pans out, this story is over, and this is it. And Roman Reigns is the champ, and he has completely and utterly dominated that. Now he is the head of the table. Anyway, Angie, what did you think of the match?
All right, a lot of the same stuff that you had mentioned. I will disagree with you on one point, in that there was never a point in this match from its inception or from Edge winning Royal Rumble to the match itself. And I feel bad for saying this, but there's never a point where I thought Edge was going to win. When it was still one-on-one, Edge versus Roman, it felt very much like this was a legacy, a passing of the torch. The person that has had one of the most iconic spears in the last 10 years, giving props to the person that's going to carry it for the next 10 years.
Sure.
That was how it felt from me going into this match. And then with Daniel Bryan being added in, it felt very much like this is how Roman still retains without pinning Edge.
Right.
I was wrong about that,
yes.
But that's kind of what it felt like. And there's a part of me that was like, oh, maybe Daniel Bryan will win because yes. I love Daniel. It didn't happen, but I like Daniel Bryan. I would have enjoyed that finish as well. But definitely this match gave us what we were talking about before, a sense of completion. Not only did Roman Reigns pin Daniel Bryan, he also pinned Edge. Both of them. And I thought that was a very emphatic statement, and I liked that. And I was pleasantly surprised by how much I really liked this main event overall. It felt like a main event. And maybe because a lot of the other matches on night 2's card were a little underwhelming, this really sort of brought everything up and reminded you you're watching WrestleMania. It's the big fight feel, it's the big moment. These are 3 very worthy competitors. All 3 have great stories going in. All 3 have legacies that we all care about. So it definitely felt like a big match. It felt worth being the main event, much like how in night 1, Bianca versus Sasha felt worthy of a main event in ways that if another match were to go on in its place, it would have been forgettable. So I liked that sort of build, and I liked that story going in. And now I'm just curious as to what could be next, because it felt like such a definitive end to this story. You know, Edge and Roman are done. Daniel Bryan and Roman are done. There's no, I don't know, credence for them to chase the title anymore, at least not for a bit.
Right.
So who is next? And that's the big question that I have going in. Maybe somebody returning, maybe somebody debuting from NXT. It's kind of unclear, but overall, like, it was a good way to end WrestleMania. Very strong ending, I felt.
I completely agree with you. And you're right. And I should have mentioned that in my review earlier. When he pinned both Daniel and Edge, that was definitive. And I think that was the point of him pinning both of them. And that makes perfect sense. Mitch, what'd you think, buddy?
Match of the night, match of the weekend, I think it was. Great pop from beginning to end with the crowd. Yay. You want to boo Roman now? He loves it.
For a person
that was scared to go back to crowds, actually did a damn good job feeding off the crowd. Oh, you want to boo me? Watch what I'm do to Daniel Bryan. Put him through a table. You know that he felt it. He used that. He used that power. The thing using the concerto on Edge.
Yeah,
that was heat right there.
Statement.
Edge and Daniel Bryan, great professional wrestlers. I wouldn't be surprised you see a feud with them two down the road. The only thing with using Hall of Famers and older wrestlers is you're taking spots away from younger, up-and-coming wrestlers. That's my only thing with this. I understand look, you could have made a younger guy win Royal Rumble, but I understand the whole Edge coming back 10 years to the day he had to relinquish the title and that kind of stuff. I understand that totally, but you could have used that Royal Rumble time to WrestleMania to build your young talent, to build your homegrown talent. And it's just, I'm not trying to take away anything from this triple threat match, which blew the roof out of the place. I'm going to say from the 6 days of wrestling was the number 2 match of NXT, WWE. We didn't talk about NXT. I won't say what my number 1 match is unless you want to hear it.
We'll talk about that at a later date for sure.
Yeah, but like I said, it made Roman, if he wasn't over during the pandemic, he is over now.
Way over. And let me tell you something. That road has been long, and the fans have been long suffering, and it's finally happened, and he is over, and it's about dang time. And that makes perfect sense for a guy like him. And what's interesting is that when you bring up the guys like Edge and Daniel Bryan, what's great is that they made it a point to say Daniel Bryan doesn't know how much more years he has left. He's already saying that he's on a shorter run. He's getting us prepared for the fact that he's going to call it a career. Edge is already there. So what I think is going to happen is that you may be right that they're going to face one another, but I think they're going to do, because they're classy guys like that, is they're going to go put over two of the other guys, two new guys is what I think they're going to do. If Vince allows it, I think that those two guys are going to put over new stars before they get out of the business. Because once again, they have said, Edge had said, this is it. He said, this is my run. I'm doing it my way. Right. So even though the way, it doesn't mean he gets the belt, but at least he gets the opportunity to end the way he wants to. And that means doing the duties and doing it for the business at this point. And the same with Daniel. And I think that is definitely going to happen for sure for those two. But anyway, Jay, what you think, buddy?
What a way to end the weekend. What a way to end the weekend. I mean, that crowd was electric. You could feel the electricity in the air. You can feel it in their screams, and you can feel their emotions. Although 40,000, which is still a big crowd, in Raymond James Stadium. I know that WrestleMania usually has an 80,000, 90,000,
100,000, right?
Yeah, but we'll take the 40,000 any day of the week because of what's happening, right?
Right.
But the thing was, these are vets. These are veterans going in. They're not rookies, right? And the thing was, to have that crowd in there to finally react to how Roman Reigns is now, to react on Edge coming back, to react on Daniel Bryan knowing that this is his last run, and to hear it all, all in that one match was incredible. The match itself, I thought it told really good stories in there. Each one had a chapter. Each athlete, each professional wrestler had a chapter in this book that they're putting together in this match, in this triple threat match. And then you also have your footnotes. Of course, you have main event Jey Uso trying to get involved somehow, and then you have Paul Heyman writing the foreword to this book. Okay, so right. It was everything clicked. I think everything clicked for all three of them. I'd say 5. I'd say 5 of them, 6, including the referee. You need that referee in there, right, to help facilitate things, and keep things in order. But everything. And he
made a champ. And to be fair, he made a championship count. That was a champ. That was those long championship counts, So he did. I think he did. He did a good job.
No, Charles Robinson and Lil H. He did an excellent job. I mean, that's Lil H. Come on now.
Yeah, that is Lil H, baby.
That's Lil H, dude. Woo. But anyway, every spot made sense. There was a purpose to every spot.
Yeah.
Amen. From one spear to another. Of course, Daniel Bryan doesn't do a spear. He does holds. He's the actual wrestler. Right. Of all of them. He's the actual wrestler. He would strike. He would ground and pound. He would grapple you. These other guys are, of course, Roman Reigns. He's a brawler. He's a striker. Same thing with Edge. So it was a mesh of styles that are in there, and how it ended was very and I agree with everyone. Was very definitive. It was very it was a way to close the book, to close the story of these 3 already legends. Well, one's already a Hall of Famer, obviously, but living legends already with Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan, and of course, with Paul Heyman and main event Jey Uso. It was a great way to end it, and I'm glad that Roman Reigns got the pop, and when I mean pop, like the heel pop, that you can feel it, like what you said, like, oh, you want to boo me now? Okay. He's calling them out, and it felt real. When he did it, it was real emotion coming out. Like, oh, I want you to now you're gonna really hate me. You booed me before when I was a face. I want you to really hate me now. And now this hate for the character of Roman Reigns will carry on, further. And I hope. I mean, I think Raw and SmackDown, they're not gonna have fans in the arena, right? Are they? No.
I don't think so. I don't think so because they're still at the Tropicana Field or something. The one that's in, I think, right? Yeah.
For now, because I think the the Rays, the Tampa Bay Rays, are going to be coming in because baseball season.
Right.
Wait, did they move?
They might have moved, but I don't think there's gonna. But you're right. I don't think there are gonna be any fans, which is kind of a shame. I wish there would be. But speaking of the fans, what's interesting is that I thought that the fans were much more vocal tonight than they were last night.
Oh yeah, no, they were. I mean, top to bottom, like you could tell, like they were booing the faces and cheering the heels. Even when Daniel Bryan did his yes chant, you heard a bunch say no.
Right, exactly, and they were very vocal,
and it was real.
Yeah,
and that's what we missed. We missed about hearing the realness from the fans. Of course, Nia Jax swearing, that's real. All the other elements of WrestleMania, even when even the botches, like they would say, "Hey, are you okay? Let's just do a hip toss or whatever." That's real, and it was just, and overall, just to feel, I mean, just the feeling of it was so good again, and I think it did service to the people there, and for those that were there, man, and if you watch this and you were there at WrestleMania, hey, hope you had a great time, because we wish we were there too.
Yeah, for sure. It was pretty cool. Kai, what'd you think, my friend?
Again, to repeat the same as everyone's saying, it was the main event of the match, and that was what I was hoping it would be. With Roman's change of being the heel, and now he's just absorbing all the boos from over the years and stuff, it makes more a difference for his character, and I hope this continues. I would like him to start moving out of that weird army pants phase already and get into something else already. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy he's not wearing a shirt, but God, he needs to get rid of those damn pants. I swear, it just looking at it makes my head hurt already. Give him some better gearing.
That'd be kind of cool.
The whole thing was just one big fun for me. At the end of the night, it was the one thing that finally saved the rest of the show.
It did.
Especially with Daniel and Edge going at each other. I kind of wanted the title to move away from Roman and maybe gone to Daniel, and then maybe. But again, I'm actually fine with it.
Yeah, I tell you what. I mean, this goes to where WWE is moving now, moving forward, because like they said, they're back in business. So where are we going forward with this? We're kind of all coming out of this pandemic, as it were. WWE is, at least, and
Florida
they want to move forward. Yeah, so we're gonna see what happens.
Around Florida.
Yeah, well, there in Texas and things like that. But yeah, we're gonna see what WWE does with their stories, how things are gonna go. They're gonna gauge the crowd. I mean, they're obviously gonna gauge the crowd for what happened with WrestleMania for the last couple of nights, and I think this is an opportunity for the business to have kind of a reset, and maybe hopefully be able to recover from what has happened in 2020, and we can kind of be in a situation where wrestling is willing to be, willing to take, don't be in the confines of what you thought worked during 2020 or during COVID. And, they did unique things, but I think it's time for them to move out of cinematic matches and things like that and get back to what makes them good. And that's just the wrestling and good angles. Now, overall, okay. Last night we rated night 1. Now we're not going to rate night 2. We're going to rate this as a whole. WrestleMania as a whole.
As a whole.
Yeah. As a big whole.
Man.
From 1 to 5 stars, I'm going to start with you, Mitch. 1 to 5 from WrestleMania 37. What did you think?
My 3 3/4 stars from last night. It's hard. It's so hard. It's You know what? I'll go 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5.
Good call. Good call.
6,
Angie, what about you?
6. Yeah.
What about you?
I don't want to agree with Mitchell, so I have to think of something else. Let's overall, I'm not going to say 3 out of 5. I'm going to say 3.5 out of 5.
Oh, very good. There you go.
Your plan. Honestly, I thought that even though some matches tonight were underwhelming comparatively, I was kind of okay with it. It was an okay one. They ended really strong. Maybe the start wasn't as good as what we had hoped, but there were some solid gems in there with Sammy and Kevin. I liked the IC match, even though there was some things wrong with it. The Sheamus and Riddle was solid. It was a pleasant surprise. It's better than I thought it was going to be. So overall, even though I was deeply, deeply hurt by Asuka losing,
yeah,
it was all right. It was 3.5.
all right. Okay. What about you, Jay? What'd you think?
Cliff Notes version. So, night 1 was amazing. I gave it a 3 out of 5, a high 3 out of 5 for that one. Now, overall, going to the second night, I mean, some things were underwhelming, but also there are parts of the underwhelming matches that surprised me as well. That I took nuggets out of it, like, ooh, that was actually pretty cool. Okay, it made sense why they did what they did. Some things didn't make sense. Like I'm still butthurt over the Nigerian drum match. The drum fight, and because there was no Nigerian drums.
Nope.
No, not and no other Nigerians.
That's correct.
So I was upset about that. I wanted to see authentic, but anyway, to give it a rating, I gotta say this. I have to hold up my fingers up, okay, and they're crumped up like this. It's a solid 4.
Wow, a solid 4.
That's a solid 4. Let me tell you why. You know
why? Why?
Because I'll tell you why it was a solid 4. Because the fans made it happen. The fans in the stands made it happen.
I'll give you that. That does put it over the top. I'll give you that much.
And you know what? It was time. It was time that the people were there, and to feed off the energy, and it was a solid 4, like the 4 horsemen right here. and
Guy, what about you, sir?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jay. Finish up.
No, I'm good. That's it.
Okay. All right. What do you think, Kai?
I'm gonna agree with Jay. This was a 4 for me as well. Not for. I mean, there was a lot of hit and miss matches, especially on night 2. But it was the fans. It was the crowd cheering and screaming and reacting to everything. If it wasn't for that, this would have been 2020 WrestleMania all over again, and that was I honestly believe that was a boring one.
Yeah,
but
no, you're right.
With the fans there, and all the matches from night 1, and all the matches that did save this whole thing out together, this made the show worth watching, and I was happy for it. Especially if you're going to give a celebrity to pull out a Canadian Destroyer, you better bring this show through something. Oh, I'm sorry, Bunny Destroyer, before someone gets a butt.
There you go, Bunny Destroyer. That's it. Well, my here's my rating, and I'm going to say that this WrestleMania is probably even harder to satisfy people than the COVID WrestleMania. Okay, it was going to be harder to satisfy fans after the entire year of even COVID mania. Okay. This was going to be, they were using storylines from 2020 that were untested. They tried new things like the cinematic matches. They tried new things by putting microphones in the ring so that you could hear them talking and things like that. Remember? So there were different experimental things that happening in the wrestling business in 2020. This WrestleMania was going to be very, very hard to satisfy everybody, considering the fact that we're still working with storylines from 2020, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is that this was going to be for me, this was a very, very underwhelming WrestleMania from that standpoint. What did take it over the top, just like Jay said, are the fans. Having the fans back meant something. It means, as a matter of fact, it means everything. And that, for me, puts it over the top. It was a very mediocre WrestleMania. I would put it up there with probably one of the most disappointing WrestleManias, and that was WrestleMania 32 in Texas. I didn't think that was a great WrestleMania. I would say that there were some bright shining lights, and that would be both main events in this WrestleMania. Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair, spectacular. The main event tonight between Edge, Daniel Bryan, and Roman Reigns, off the charts. And dare I say, of honorable mention, the Bad Bunny match with Miz Morrison and Damian Priest.
Yeah.
But overall, you're gonna make me do it, Angie. You're gonna hate me for this, but I have to agree with Mitch. It's a 3-star. It's a 3-star WrestleMania. Matter of fact, it might be 2.5 for me, but there were some very good highlights. But the reason why I'm giving it 3 is because now, if they are quote unquote back in business, I'm going to give them leeway and tell them they were finishing up storylines from 2020 and we're moving forward now and we're on a different path and we're going to see where wrestling goes from here. And hopefully, good God, hopefully we can, without a doubt, be able to have wrestling with fans again and for the fans to make the difference. Because that is one thing that that's even one thing that the majority of wrestlers that work on the product say that is missing, and they can't. It's hard for them to gauge what's working and what's not. And without the fans, they don't know what's working and what isn't working. So now now we're going to find out in 2021 what works, what doesn't, and we got a preview of that on the last 2 nights. The Fiend not working. Roman Reigns over, working. That's happening. So there are there are things that are happening that this 2021 is going to expose. Fans coming back in the building is going to be a huge deal. And I think moving forward, I think that this is just WrestleMania 37 is the springboard for WrestleMania April 2022 in Texas, where we finally see a true WrestleMania. So that's what I think. What's up, Mitch?
One day. It's going to be a one-day mania. You're not. This is probably the last. I
agree.
You see a 2-day mania.
I agree. And let me tell you something. I've been liking 2-day manias, but to be fair, I think 1-day mania is probably where it's at. So, I mean, for as much as everybody says, oh, well, Mania is too long. It's like 5 hours. Good. I want a full day of wrestling. I don't care. That's what I sign up for when I watch Mania. You know, everybody, oh, it's too long. It's like 5 or 6 hours. Shut up. It's WrestleMania. Can everybody have their shot? I love the fact that it's 5 or 6 hours. I get to hang out with my friends and talk about wrestling for 1 day. Is that okay? Can I have like 5 hours worth of wrestling without everybody jumping down my throat? I think it's great. I don't think they don't have to split it up. Just be one huge event, man. It's all good, right. And I don't care.
If a wrestling fan says it's too long, then don't watch it.
Then don't watch it. Right. Just watch the highlights and then call it a day. I watch wrestling so that I can talk about wrestling. We can scrutinize it, have fun with it as fans, and be able to talk to one another about it. Because ultimately, in the end, I think what the reason why we all watch wrestling is because it what brings us together. Brings us together as friends. It gives us an opportunity to share in a an entity that we enjoy, something that we love to talk about, that we're knowledgeable about, and that, good or bad, whatever opinions that we have, we always are able to communicate with one another and be able to have an opportunity to relate to one another and to be able to speak to one another and have the chance to share ideas and just to love the business and to love what it stands for. And just like Angie said, the lineage of wrestling and what we respect about it and what we love about it. So WrestleMania, be 6 hours for all I care. I'm down. I don't care. I think it's awesome. So WrestleMania 2022 in Texas, be an all-day event for me. Run it from 1 o'clock in the afternoon to 7 o'clock at night. I'm down. Okay, I'm calling it now. That's going to be a huge event next year, April 2022. So barring any other lockdowns, we should be good for WrestleMania 2022 next year. But anyway, people, friends, it has been a phenomenal WrestleMania weekend. I tell you what, I love being able to talk to you guys in this fashion. I love being able to talk to you guys about wrestling this way. This is, for me, this is almost as fun as all of us being together. And I want to thank you guys for being on the show and providing your insights and your knowledge about the business, and also, most importantly, your love for the business. And I don't think, we have a tendency as fans and people that respect and admire the business to scrutinize a lot, but we do it because we love it. We do it because we want to see those people that are on the cards that aren't being used properly to get their shot. We want to see these guys, for all the hard work they put in, day in and day out, to get the opportunity to call themselves champion. And I think that regardless of how you feel about certain entities in the business or whatever, the reason why fans are so vocal is because we love the business, we respect the business, and we want what's best for the business. And that's why it's so important for people to understand that maybe they don't understand this wrestling thing, but at least we can give them the opportunity to make it understandable for them. Tell them why we love the business, share our love for it. I mean, I think that no one personifies that more this year than what Bad Bunny did at WrestleMania last night. His love for the business shone through. My respect for him is now through the roof. I don't listen to his music, but man, the fact that he took the time. Yeah.
Are you going to download his album?
I just might. But let me tell you something. I will take Bad Bunny over Logan Paul any day of the week.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So absolutely. You. So with that in mind, before we get out, not even close. Not even close. So with that in mind, before we get out of here, Mitch, any final words before we blow off our last show?
No. Thank you guys all for just spending time with us talking wrestling, man. This is what I love.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Angie?
Same. I'm just glad to have people to talk wrestling with. It's always fun getting to hear different opinions from mine, getting to see different perspectives, and to just talk smack.
Yeah, absolutely. Jay, what about you?
Well, first off, thank you everybody for being on the show, for sharing your thoughts, your opinions. And it's not often that I get a chance to do this, man. I mean, and it's good to get those vibes from everyone. And for those that are watching and that are listening to the podcast, I hope you enjoyed every single one of our opinions and what we had to say about WrestleMania, and of course with professional wrestling. When I'll do this again, I'll have to talk to my advocate and see when I'm
when
able
it's appropriate
to do this
for you.
When it's appropriate for me, and when the right time, the right spot to come in, because I'm the attraction, right? So
all right, absolutely, 100%. Yes. I was thinking maybe we should do this every week and just review AEW.
If we do review AEW, we're having drinks, because that's just what it is with AEW.
I'm always about that.
Yes, she is.
And then Greg can have and G Money can have I don't know what I'll
have a ginger ale. I'm a ginger ale or an iced tea. Yeah.
Or
have your iced tea like you used to.
Iced tea, baby. Iced tea. Absolutely.
And drink it fast.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, Kai, what about you? Any last words before we get out of here?
I thank you guys for having me on tonight. I really did enjoy talking shop with you guys, especially about something that reminded me of why I used to love this business and such. And if we are planning on to do this again, maybe in 2022, wait.
You're on.
Wait, no. I suggest if COVID is removed and everything, that we get Todd Bernardi and strap him to a chair with duct tape.
Yeah, we can have him come and watch the show.
Because then he's a huge hater of wrestling and men in tights because he thinks everything is weird.
Yeah, he's a weird guy himself. But yes, I'd love to have Todd Bernardi of the Nerdwatch come on.
Yeah, he'd probably be upset that Al Pacino is not Roman Reigns.
Yeah, maybe he would be.
I just want him to be forced to sit there and watch men grab each other because then he'll feel about himself.
Well, let me tell you something. I want to let everybody know that I was completely wrong. I thought that this would be a short show, but this is the same amount of time it took last night as it did tonight. So it's been incredible. We will talk off the air about whether or not we try and plan this and do this again sometime, which would be awesome. We'll definitely do it again for WrestleMania 2022. And maybe if everybody's schedule allows it, maybe we can do it maybe once a week or something. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, for good friends of mine and wrestling fanatics. By the way, I've dubbed you the N.W.O, the New Watch Order, or the Nerd Watch Order. That's who you guys are, the Nerd Watch Order. Okay, you guys are the new N.W.O. It's because we are just too sweet. Anyway, so for Mitch, for Kai, for JJ, and the great Angie, I am G Money. Until next time and next wrestling podcast, peace out, much love, and most assuredly, always watch wrestling. We'll see you guys next time. Aloha.
Woo!